Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Thursday. It's November the 7th, 2024. It's another Technical Alpha podcast. Glad you could join us today. It's going to drive me nuts to have that door open and hear the echo in the hallway, but after yesterday, this room is heating. Why was it 20 plus degrees on November the 6th in Nova Scotia? I don't know. But it was too hot. Let me just fix that up there. There we go. Got another great show lined up for you this week. My apologies. Last week, I forgot to let everyone know that there wasn't actually going to be a show. We were unable to get together to do the podcast portion. We just had the time to do StarCraft recording. And that decision came down the pipe kind of late. I just vapor locked, didn't even post anything.
Well, I mean, we told them on the last podcast because it was falling on Halloween. So we had told people that we weren't going to have a podcast the following week.
True. Oh, that's true. Yeah. We did, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh,
that's the only reason why we still recorded StarCraft, but we just didn't have the time because I had to go trick or treating. You know.
Yeah, that's fair.
And you were going to have a million kids fucking banging on your door.
Which, funny enough, didn't happen. We had like half as many kids this year as we did last year.
Wow.
It was dead. And I can't even fathom why. Why in the hell? Speaking of not fathoming why, what the hell is my camera doing? It's like a million miles away from me. Yeah, so like we have way more kids here now than we did last year. Not much, way more is probably excessive. I'd say we probably have 7 or 8 more kids in the area than we did last year. And a lot of the people that have been moving in, whether they're rentals or if they bought some of the homes that were going up for sale, almost all of them have been families with at least 1 kid. Many of them have 2. All of them trick-or-treat age, the 4 through 12 year kind of a thing. And so when Em and I got candy and whatnot, and last year we had 40 kids show up, I was like, maybe we should we'll have enough for 60, and then that'll be fine. We should be okay. We won't run out. We'll be fine. So we had enough for 60. Then that got reduced back down to 40 because Em decided that she wanted to like pre-package all like several candies in a little like baggy thing. She wanted to do the very woman thing where she felt like Martha Stewart.
That's what my wife does.
So we stopped in and got the little baggy things and whatnot, and she put them together. So we went from 60 down to 40 because of the amount of stuff that she was packing into these things. And I was a little concerned, but it turns out that I didn't need to be worried at all because we got like 19 or 20. It was nuts. At like 5:30, I'm looking out the living room window, and I'm like looking up and down because it was about 5:30, and that's usually when you get the young kids with the parents, like the real young kids.
Yeah.
With the parents, like like the infants just after dinner or just before dinner. They go out and do their thing, and so that's what I'm expecting, and we have a fair amount of that around here. And so I'm looking up and down from the living room, and there's literally 0 people. Not a single person anywhere. We had one kid show up, and then it was dead for about 45 minutes. And then we had this little rush of people over the span of about an hour. That was the whole show. Nothing. 0. It was so weird. We didn't even get kids. We didn't even get all the kids on this street. Wow. So, like, it wasn't even like, we were expecting them to come from, neighboring streets. We didn't even get all the kids that literally live within 3 houses of here.
Wow.
And it's not like they skipped. Like, Mom and Dad said same thing. They were like, we got fucking nobody. And so, very odd year for that. So I wasn't very busy at all. I got up and down like a couple of times, and that was the show. And we had all this leftover candy, and I was like, oh, okay, well, plus side, I get to have some candy. And then Em took 90% of that to her work. And so I don't even get that.
Damn.
I'm down bad. But what was Halloween like for you guys? You guys got your costumes changed because you said you thought you were doing one thing, and then when I saw the posts,
Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
we did Ninja Turtles. What did I say I was doing? Pretty
I
sure I
thought
said
you
I was
said
doing Ninja Turtles.
I thought you said something else, and then Emma like showed a picture of I can't remember if it was just her and Kai or if it was the three of you now. And I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't look like the costumes that Jeff said they were going to do.
Yeah, no. I was Michelangelo, Kayla was Raphael, and Kai was Leonardo. So we went out there.
Oh, okay.
We didn't actually be in our neighborhood. We actually went up to Cowie Hill. This is my old stomping grounds.
Oh, really?
And just for nostalgia purposes and just
Yeah.
you know, we went there, and we also wanted to visit, you know, Kayla's family, which is closer.
Yeah, of course.
In and around, not far. So we stopped and saw family and stuff like that. So we did something a little bit different than usual. But it was good. It was good. He enjoyed it. It was fun. The weather was like perfect.
Oh, well, that's why I was shocked. I was like,
yeah,
how is there no children? This is literally the best Halloween weather we've had in like fucking nearly 10 years. I was expecting everyone to be out. It was just nothing. How busy was it up there though? Was there a lot of people out, a lot of kids out and around?
Yeah, I mean, there's a fair amount. It's been a long time since I've been up there during Halloween, so like I don't recall what it used to be when I was a kid, kind of growing up. But I mean, there was a lot of kids, of and all the houses are like, or they're condos, but they're all right beside each other. So you just like go from
so you're
door
just
to door
bouncing.
to door.
Yeah.
And there's just like a thing, like if the door is closed, then it means they're not giving no treats or they're not home.
Yeah.
You just don't knock.
Yep.
So, and there's so many houses that it was nice. We were out for like maybe an hour and a half.
Okay.
It was starting to get really, really dark, and he had more than enough candy.
Yeah.
So yeah, he had fun. It was good. It was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, I you know, I was one of M's friends, or a couple of them. They have a house, out behind the Lions rink. You know, that whole development way out down in there, which is just fucking, dude, that's a labyrinth now. You get lost in there. Like, I need Google Maps to find my way in and out of that fucking jungle in there at this point. And, they were saying they had like 300 kids.
Jesus Christ.
You ain't even leaving. You ain't even leaving your door. You are there permanently. You just spent $3,000 on candy, and you are sitting there.
You get a lawn chair, and you've done 3 trips to Costco, and that's the show. And you're not moving.
Dad said we were over dinner the other night, and we were talking about that. Dad said, I'm not joking. I would have just thrown the candy onto the front yard, and they could have picked it up as they walked by. There's just so many kids. Yeah, but that whole area is like, that area got populated with families just before the housing market went fucking bonkers. Those houses like doubled in price. Those were some of the most affected by the increase. And so there's a ton in there. Like there's a massage therapist in there that I've gone to before, and I remember talking to her, and she got in just before. She runs her business out of her home now. Obviously, after COVID, like many massage therapists, they ended up getting used to running it out of their basement or whatever. And she said, thank God, because we would literally not be able to afford the house that we're in right now if we hadn't gotten in ahead of time. And since everyone in there's a family, that's the case for like fucking 80% of the people in there. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. But 300 kids, I would have packed it in, bro. I would have been tired. I would have been tired after the first 100, which is what we used to get when we were growing up here. About 100 kids.
Yeah.
I'm wondering though, do you think that there are just less kids in general going out? Parents are just like, don't need all that candy in our lives, kind of a situation. Like, what do you? Because it does feel like we've dropped off.
I think what it is, man, is this when we were younger, people were having more kids. Those kids have grown up.
That's true.
And
fewer kids in
not
general.
as many. Yeah, there's just fewer kids in general. I'm not saying there's no kids, but like there's just fewer kids in general. And then also, I think it's very dependent on sort of the area that you live in as well. So like, true. There's just certain areas that where families or young families are going to gravitate towards more. Not only for schooling, but then of course affordability at this point. I mean,
of course, for sure.
It is what it is, but I don't necessarily think it's like society against Halloween or anything like that. I just think
I'm not against. No. I'm just like, I know a lot of kids, a lot of parents now are. I mean, even Kayla. I mean, is a good example of people in our age group having kids are obviously just more health conscious than they ever were. Ever before.
Oh, for sure.
And so in my mind, I'm thinking, I wonder maybe maybe a little bit. But either way, I know one thing. The candy that we did have left over that I've been eating, some bullshit candy, Mr. Black.
No,
I say it every year, but I mean the chocolate industry like got hit hard. There was like no cocoa, so like Reese's were doing this satanic clown orgy of white chocolate Reese's to try to make up for the fact that they didn't have enough cocoa to make nothing but regular milk chocolate.
That ain't it.
Dude, I opened just before this cast after lunch. I had I got one of the bags that Em had made up. And I took out, and this bag had, I think the worst offender of all of them was the Snickers bar. I opened the this Snickers was the concept of a Snickers bar. This is the small, it's not even a bar. It's a cube.
No, it's a micro penis. It's a little tiny fucking micro penis. That's what it is, man, of a chocolate. It's
like nuts. All of them are really small, but the Snickers bar was like, God damn, what is going on over here? Isn't the whole tagline like, you look hungry, you should have a Snickers? Bitch, that ain't fucking making anyone satisfied. That is brutal.
Yep.
Unacceptable. Either way. Other than that, Mr. Black, most important question of the week, how's your week?
Oh, horrible. It's been horrible, man. I've been fucked. And you know what, man? I'm starting to sound like people are probably starting to get concerned at this point.
Yeah.
Dude, my stomach has just been absolutely fucked. I mean, I had that flu on Thanksgiving weekend.
And you've just never recovered.
Never recovered, man. It's never recovered. I touched 179 pounds. I mean, I'm probably like 182 right now, although the amount of shitting I did in the last hour, I'm probably right back down to where I was. I mean, bro, it's been brutal. So I've been in and out of the doctors. They got me on 3 different types of meds. Kayla's at the pharmacy right now getting fucking like diarrhea type meds to counteract the meds that I'm currently on because I'm like dying. And then I had to get this dosage completely, like it's like 1/4 of the dose now than what I took today. Than what I'll be taking tomorrow. And I'm probably not going to take it tomorrow. I'm just going to let my gut just like chill the fuck out for like 1 day and then be back on the way. It's just been brutal. It's, for those who don't know, like I just have IBS, right? So irritable bowel syndrome.
Yes.
And it's basically, I have trigger foods, so I can't eat much gluten. I can eat a little bit. I can eat a little bit of lactose, but like, we're talking like milk in a coffee. And that's the show.
Tops.
Or a couple pieces of cheese. Like that's about it. I can't really have anything with onions or garlic, which is, awful. I haven't had pizza in fucking forever in a day. A lot of times when I'm eating burgers, like if they don't have gluten-free buns, I'm like literally eating patty with shit. So yeah, basically when you have this and then you get a bug, it basically completely fucks your whole bacteria in your gut. And what my doctors are trying to do now is they're trying to get a rebalance of the healthy bacteria and the bad bacteria. So that way I'm not constantly bloated with just gas, indigestion, just miserable. I mean, stomach problems are just horrible. It's just not, you feel sick. It's gross. It's just not fun. So that's just been me. I was actually feeling pretty good this morning. I got a decent night's sleep for the first time in forever. I'm on these new meds. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, shit's working. And then I take this other med because, again, it's too much info, but I don't really care. I've been shitting like once every 3 days, and my doctor's like, that's bad. Like you're constipated, right? And I'm not like constipated to the point where I can't push out any shit, but it's like it just takes forever and it builds up and it just gets gassy and it's just fucking awful. So they put me on this like powerful ass fucking shit that works extremely well. She's like, this works really well. I'm going to put you on the biggest dose and we can kind of go down from there. I'm like, okay. She's like, if you get diarrhea, like, it's normal. But like, if it's severe, like, give me a call and we'll change your thing. I take this pill today. I eat chicken and rice. Within 30 minutes after that, oh man. It was like somebody turned on a faucet. It was like when I had the flu, but without like the sick part, but just like, it's just, So yeah, I've been in and out of the bathroom. I already told Adam like I might be just getting up randomly. Y'all know what I'll be doing. I'll be shitting my fucking shitting everything up. So yeah. So Kayla's gone to the pharmacy to get me some stuff to counteract it, and then to get me the lower dose so I can get on that. But believe it or not, today I'm in better spirits overall because I'm just not as miserable. Although there's this thing now, but we'll get over it. I'm hoping that the worst of it is behind me. So that's just been my week. It's just been rough. I haven't streamed that much because I just can't really focus, and I'm just uncomfortable. So I've been sneaking in some hours when I can, but I'm feeling like I'm going to be on the mend soon.
Fighting the good fight.
I'm fighting the good fight. As Mr. Trump would say, fight, fight, fight. This IBS.
Jeff taking that pill easy. Was taking a bullet. Come up off of the toilet. Fight! Fight!
Yeah, that's how I felt, man. That's how I felt when I got off the toilet, man. It's like that doctor shot. It grazed me. And now I'm here with a vengeance.
So this was what they were giving you was, I mean, that is, as somebody like Jeff and I were talking. I mean, when I was younger, I suffered with all sorts of this shit for fucking years, and Jeff would remember this when I was a kid. I couldn't fucking eat anything. Yep. I couldn't drink anything. It was a fucking nightmare. And so like the meds that they were giving you that was super high dose was, and this is what happens with anyone for those who haven't had to experience anything like this, the irony of any medications for your intestinal tract often is the side effects for too much of a dosage or too little of a dose is the opposite of whatever it's trying to solve. So you end up in a situation where like they're trying to stop you from pissing out your asshole, and it coincidentally continues to make yourself piss out your asshole worse. Because it's just the knob is turned up too high. It's brutal. I'm surprised though. You know, if you're like, I'm not a doctor, obviously, but I've been through all of this, and so obviously I've done the biopsies, I've done the whole 9 yards.
Oh, I've done it all, bro. Yeah. I've done ultrasounds, I've done blood work, I've done fucking stool samples, piss samples. I've been through it all, and all like the scary stuff is just it's not there. They're like, bro, it's IBS.
Just IBS, yeah.
And you just gotta find. I done the dietitian for 6 months, kind of narrowed everything down, kind of hit a sweet spot. And then I got the flu, so I got sick before Thanksgiving, like a month before or a month and a half before, and then the Thanksgiving bug just
wiped you.
It was the 1-2, man. I got hooked, and I'm just man. So yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
They didn't start you because, like, if you're shitting like every 3 days, I mean, there are some people where every 3 days is normal, even if there's no like major constipation, right? Like the 3 days is not like 3 days isn't like let's press the panic button because you're going to start fucking like blowing out a fucking O-ring or something like that. So I'm surprised they went so aggressive and didn't just use like Restorelax or something like that instead.
The reason is because I am extremely bloated and gassy and just everything else. So they're trying to get the stool.
Oh, this is also like an anti-gas situation as well for you, I guess.
Yeah. So they're trying to just keep everything moving, like on a daily basis. That way I can get relief from some of these symptoms. Then they got me on some probiotics and all this other nonsense. But anyway. It is what it is. Even just talking about it right now is kind of making my gut bubble.
All right, okay, all right. We'll dodge it. We'll dodge it.
Yeah, there's all your info, everybody there watching at home. And if you have stomach problems,
Godspeed.
I feel your pain. I feel your pain.
Yeah, I mean, so my week was another week of Skyrim modding. This is a refrain that you've heard now for 2 months. I'm deeper and deeper in every time we come back. Yeah, it's been 2 months now.
We gotta be pushing 3 now, man.
No, we got a bot that tracks it. Drek has got a bot in chat that calls it the bot. It's !addiction, and then it tells you how long I've been modding. No, not hours. No, he didn't track it for hours, but it's been, I mean, I can tell you it's been a lot of hours. But I'm enjoying it. Like I did like a 14-hour day the other day, or just like fucking and it didn't phase me. So I've been enjoying it. I'm getting closer and closer. I'm in the combat testing phase seeing how hard combat is, how fast you're leveling and shit, because all those systems have been modified. Visually, dude, I'm not even joking. I said this yesterday. I said there's a non-zero chance that if I really wanted to just go psychotic and drop the gameplay side altogether and just focus on the visual side, I feel like I could make the best looking goddamn Skyrim on the Nexus. I'm not even joking. I think I got it in me. I'm not going to do it right now, because if I do, then nothing else will ever get done. Right now, I just kind of pick away at the visuals as I'm testing everything else. But bro, this shit is looking fucking next level. And it runs pretty well considering. So anyway, I've been really enjoying myself and getting closer and closer to being complete. I'm really looking forward to getting it to a point where I can give it out to people and then they can tell me all the bugs that they find, because Skyrim is too big for me to test everything by myself. I literally could, in a million years, could never fucking find all the bugs in the system. And some of them can't be squashed because it's just a Bethesda game, but, you know, I look forward to getting to that point. Otherwise, it's just been kind of status quo. Nothing crazy happening around here. Em and I finished Love is Blind, so we'll be able to talk about that later in the show. We'll be able to give our feelings on that season. And that's been basically it. It was just been, getting closer and closer to Christmas. It blows my mind that we're, into the end of the first week of November. More so because the weather has been, like I was mentioning earlier, like, what the fuck? It's too hot. I should not be in shorts right now. I'm in shorts right now. Yesterday, I was in shorts and t-shirt in this office. That's illegal. I said to Em, I said, listen, if it's 20 degrees here in November, then your parents and family in the Philippines have about 10 years before it's unlivable. So let's just buckle up for that.
I hope we have a winter like last year. I mean, last winter was pretty fucking mild, right? We only had like a few snow dumps and then like a couple of small things.
It's not getting cold enough anymore. It's not getting snow. So everyone north and south of the equator far enough will be, and mostly north. We're just getting warmer winters. Everyone else is getting power fucked at the equator right now. So Godspeed. For example, I'm sure we've got some community members, because I know I at least have one in the stream that's been around for a long time, in Spain, and hopefully everyone in Spain's gotten out of the crazy mudslides and floods that happened there. They had, what was it, an entire year worth of rain in 8 hours, and it flooded out all of Valencia, mud everywhere, people buried. They're still trying to dig shit out. So wild weather everywhere. And up here, at least for now, up here, the worst of it is we don't get as much snow in the winter, and I'm wearing shorts in November, which, one of the few perks of living here. It's not a long list, but it's on the list.
While you start the first segment, I'm going to run upstairs and eat this. Kayla just got home, so I'm just going to go get this med and then fill up my water. I'll be right back.
Gotcha. While Mr. Black goes and does that, let's see. I'll try to avoid stuff that, this one is probably not too much back and forth. I'll try to save the stuff that Jeff might want to weigh in on for when he returns. So Bethesda's veteran systems designer Bruce Naismith is convinced that the video games industry has reached unsustainable levels of development. This is not surprising. I think everyone is on the same page with this. What is surprising for me, anyway, is that it's a Bethesda veteran systems designer that's actually saying it, because as I'm sure we all know, Bethesda is currently and even historically, they've made games that take a long time and require a lot of people. And so if they're saying it, then if you didn't already, that everything has gotten kind of out of control. The points that Bruce touched on in this interview that I was reading earlier, to be a success, of course, as we all know this as well, because of how expensive everything has gotten to make at these levels of AAA and now quadruple A development. To be a success, you need to sell tens of millions of copies to recoup costs. And recuperating costs on tens of millions of copies would be a problem for games that aren't incredibly well made and well received, both commercially and otherwise. It's that would have been challenging even during what might be considered the golden era of gaming. But now there are so many games being made that the odds of even the highest rated, well received by consumers and by critics, the odds of them being able to get their head above the mass and mass of games being released is, it's harder and harder. So it exacerbates that problem of trying to hit all these big numbers. Extended development times are not just costly because of the time lag, but obviously as well, technology shifts dramatically across time, and 6+ years is an eternity in terms of technology. Consoles change, PC parts change, engine tech changes. And this has always happened, but at the timescales that we've reached now, obviously, the more time you add for these factors, the worse it gets. And he spoke, Bruce spoke about how even back in the day with them, whether it was Fallout 4 or even previous to that, a lot of Bethesda games would take between, around 4 years. Let's call it 4 years for many of their games. And even in 4 years, depending on when you started it, that's a long time, and you could hit, a new console cycle back in, if you go far enough back, 4-year console cycle, you're getting major engine changes and whatnot, and that's typical. Through that, they'd have to make changes and upgrades to their own engines and systems, and if there was a new console, the manufacturers do their best to send out tech specs so that they know kind of what they're targeting, or what the compatibility, or what the capabilities of these new consoles will be, so that these games can try to target that as a baseline for what they'll be able to rely upon when the time comes. All of that's really complicated and makes complicated already the difficulties of developing games. But you take 4 years, and now you're making games that are 6, and even more famously recently, many more and more games we're hearing about these 8-10-year development times, which is nuts. We made the joke about Star Citizen, where the people that back Star Citizen on day one will be playing it with their children when they graduate high school, and that's kind of a joke, but also not. It's just too much time, and you have that length of time, and how much does hardware and engine technology and whatnot change over those long time scales? So obviously that's a major factor as well. And, balloons costs too. Naismith also mentioned some of the studios have ballooned team sizes, and this we're also well aware of in general. They hired way too many people to do this work, and it's costing them too much efficiency. So this is the old too many cooks in the kitchen kind of a situation, right? Where any given project is going to have an approaching perfect efficiency scale for number of people working on said project, and many newer video games and studios seem to be overshooting team size and creating more and more complex, complicated team coordination environments that exacerbate issues in the system already, and create new ones that are difficult, if not impossible, to actually account for during development times. So, Bruce mentioned, for example, just for base numbers, for what he would have been used to seeing up until more recent numbers that we've been seeing with some of these major games. He said coordinating 100 people to all move in the same direction on a video game project and create an excellent video game is already very challenging. You think about coordinating 100 people. That's for any task that can be very challenging. Now imagine doing that, but for 400 people, or 600 people, or 1,000 people, which some projects now, you're seeing 1,000 people being put onto a project throughout its development time in order to create this one product at the other end. That is an incredibly difficult juggling act for any team lead in any subdivision of this. I mean, think about how many team leads and how many project managers and shit must have to exist to be able to at least attempt to flatten the organizational structure out to make it even mildly efficient to make a video game with 400, 600,000, plus people. It's nuts. And so, yeah, I mean, again, this isn't necessarily stuff that people perhaps haven't already pieced together if they keep up with the industry at all, but it is to me, it was notable just for who was saying the thing. I do still hold out hope that we are reaching some level of reckoning, whereby projects like Concord that cost $400 million and immediately failed and had to be closed in the first 2 weeks, things like that. Anthem was, I think, another canary in the coal mine, but wasn't taken seriously, clearly. I still hold out hope that we're reaching a point where that's not going to be that's not going to be as prevalent anymore. Like, we're moving away from that kind of stuff. I would hope. Welcome back, Mr. Black. I was going to say, are you also doing zero sugar Gatorades to get your electrolytes back up, given how much you're going through? Is that what we got?
They didn't have the other prescription, and then anyway, I don't need to go through my whole fucking medical shit.
No.
Essentially, the pharmacist said, get some electrolytes in you.
Yeah, so that would be the way to go.
Kayla got me a couple of these, and yeah, we'll go from there.
That's the way to go. While we were just talking, I just went with one point. It was just the first one here on the list, which is about a senior systems designer for Bethesda weighing in on how even they believe, and that's why I said this was notable, because the points that they bring up are the things that we've talked here before. But when somebody at this position level at a company like Bethesda mentions it, that's why I thought it was notable. Talking about just how inefficient and unsustainable the current AAA video game development environment is, and how it's basically impossible to successfully navigate now. He talked about, I'll just briefly go over it again for you. He talked about how when they did Fallout 4, for example, and some of the older Bethesda games, 4 years was a long development time, but that was typical of Bethesda because their games were huge, comparatively speaking to other games in the industry. In those 4 years, obviously a lot of stuff can change with hardware, with software, engine changes, console cycles, all that's because 4 years is a long time in the tech world. But now we've hit these 6, 7, 8, 10-year fucking like monolithic, insane projects. Like, how in the fuck can you navigate that? And then he talks about things like, of course, also when you get to scales of that size, how many people, how many cooks are in the kitchen? This isn't like, 100 people is difficult, but now he's saying, if 100 people is difficult to make an excellent game with, how the fuck do you do that with 400, 600, 1,000 people? How do you steer a ship of 1,000 fucking developers over the span of 8 years to turn out a video game that can be any good? That's like just absolute nightmare fuel. And honestly, the only group I can think of that is, that's a very elite group, it might be at this point, there might only be one. It might be Rockstar. That might be it. I don't know if anyone else, and they do it because they play all their cards close to their chest. They're militant about their game design. Some people don't like that. Tough shit. It's what, ends up working. We've talked about this before. While I don't like crunch time, if you choose to work for a company because you like the games they make and you're going to be working crunch time, yeah, crunch time is bad, but you chose to put yourself in that environment. People aren't over. How often do you hear people at Rockstar? It's not that frequent, like once in a blue moon, where somebody's like, oh my God, I have worked so many hours on this game. Too many. It just, like, you don't hear it that often, because I think the people that work there, one, understand that that's what they're getting themselves into. I mean, think of the games that you're working on, right? They want their name to be on the list that said, I made GTA 6.
Yes.
I was part of that project.
Yes.
So I think that might be the only one. I don't know any other developer that's actually in that kind of like list. You might have been able to list a couple more 5 or 6 years ago, 7 years ago, but I don't think that exists anymore. I think it's just basically Rockstar. Funny sidebar, I don't have this in the notes, but somebody did surface the interview from back in, what was it, 2018? I think it was 2018. When the head of it was either Rockstar or Take-Two said that they were thankful that they weren't releasing Grand Theft Auto 6 during a Trump presidency, because they didn't think people would even, like, it's no longer parody. Like, a lot of the stuff in the game isn't parody anymore, and so it kind of like pulls the rug from underneath GTA 6, and unfortunately the game's taken so long that now they've rolled right into another Trump presidency. They dodged the first, and now they're back right under the gun again. It's just, it was just an like very ironic, unfortunate, poorly aged quote And I did think about that. I was like, man, how many jokes, how many references, what's not even going to feel like parody anymore? Grand Theft Auto 6 is just going to feel like real life. It's not even going to feel like a parody anymore. It's going to make for a very interesting experience, to say the least. And I'm sure internally right now, they're probably trying to figure out how they pitch GTA 6, like from like a marketing perspective now, because they might have to steer it a little bit into a different direction.
They ain't steering nothing, bro.
Oh no, I don't mean changing the content. Game. I don't mean change the content of the game. Dude, I mean, like, how do you pitch it? You can't pitch it as a parody anymore.
No, I can imagine some of the fucking dialogue lines that some of these characters are gonna say, dude. You know, the woke fucking crowd is going
just lean
to
in.
Use their collective. They may as well just accept this.
Lean into it.
You may as well just accept it, man, because this GTA 6, they are gonna go so hard in the paint, it ain't even funny. It ain't even funny. It's gonna be like South Park on crack. They're gonna say, "What are you gonna say?" You know what I mean? Like everybody's gonna play this game.
I don't watch South Park anymore just because I don't watch TV. But I did see a clip just because you mentioned it and made me think of it. I did see a clip of like a supercut of Caesar Milan, you know, the dog whisperer.
Yes.
Caesar Milan watching the episode that they did on Caesar Milan, where he was they were treating Cartman like a dog, and so he was doing like. With like Cartman and like kicking him and shit and like getting him to stop and treat him like a dog the whole time, and he's training the mom to like be able to lead Cartman, and it was such a fucking beautiful, perfect episode. It was amazing. Anyway, yeah, no, I you know what, I agree. I think I agree with Zeth in chat. I think just lean into it. You know, if you have two options. You either pitch it as no longer parody, or you just lean all the way into it, and you just say, lean into the absurdity of the whole thing, and so yeah, it'll be very, man. I can't wait to see what that's like. That's going to be a fucking nutty.
Oh, do you think shit out of that game, man?
When you do something like GTA 4 and then you follow it up with GTA 5, the expectations for 6 are like
it's next level.
Can we say the expectations for GTA 6 is higher than any game has ever held expectations, like from the 100%. General?
100%.
Do you think they're going to knock it out of the park? Do you think they're going to meet it?
Of course, they're going to. I don't only think they're going to meet it, but they're going to
exceed.
They're going to go above and beyond what we envision.
Okay.
I think the game's going to be so in depth and so crazy that people are going to go, oh my God, this is the future. This is like, I think Rockstar is going to put their mandingo dick on the table and they're just going to say, look at it. And it's soft. Wait till you get it erect. Like, I'm telling you, dude, this game is going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. It's going to be nuts. Every part of it. The voice acting, the graphics, the shit you can do, the dialogue, the story, the music, the everything, the gameplay, the fights, the driving. I mean, dude, they're going to go so crazy with this that every other game's just going to feel inferior in just about every conceivable way.
Man. It's going to be like when Baldur's Gate 3 came out and everyone was like, you're not allowed to make a game that good because it makes everyone look bad.
Yeah.
Developers like complaining about it, like where I'll never forget the line. I can't remember who said it first, but the idea that they were like, Baldur's Gate 3 was a problem because it set expectations for other games too high. Like you can't expect video games to be as good as Baldur's Gate 3, which is just funny to hear because it's like, well, then explain how Baldur's Gate 3 got made.
Gate 3 is that good? Exactly.
And they weren't even like some ultra high profile company at that point. I mean, they had prestige, but this is not like they didn't have the money or anything that like a Rockstar or some shit would have. It's like a different animal altogether, and they still made that game. And so, but I could see that being the case. It's like, but I think with Grand Theft Auto, I think the difference is Rockstar is a known quantity. Everyone knows that Rockstar hits nothing but basically, with their main games they release, nothing but home runs, They're monsters. They're one of the few console sellers that still exist at this point, I would say. And so maybe even if the bar is set really high, there wouldn't be the same sentiment because I think everyone just already assumes. The assumption is they're going to be basically peak at that point. Where was I in this list? PS5 Pro. Speaking of new consoles and selling them, PS5 Pro, the reviews are in. Digital Foundry and other tech reviewers and whatnot have finally got their hands on it. We've been able to get some actual performance out of it. We heard, we've seen things like the teraflop, count numbers. Obviously, it's a much more powerful console, but you never know what that's actually going to translate to with games on the system until people get their hands on it. And so it's a bit of a mixed bag in general. It's a console of extremes. So on one end, you have a lot of games where it has kind of similar to the Xbox systems where they'll like upscale and then like sharpen filter and whatnot older games to make them look better, basically. So it does that. It doesn't seem, from what I've seen of all the games that are in that category, from what I've seen, it doesn't do it as well as Xbox. And even for me, in my eyes, I had to A/B test it, meaning I had to have an image of both on the screen at the same time and like play the Where's Waldo of like, what's the difference in the visual that I'm seeing here? That being said, like I said, two extremes. On the upper end, with newer games that those developers were given access, obviously, to dev kits and stuff earlier to prep their games for updates for PS5 Pro, there are some incredibly impressive results on that end when they get all that extra horsepower. So Horizon Forbidden West, Digital Foundry said, is now arguably the best looking console game ever made. So there's that. They also did a great job with Stellar Blade, and Gran Turismo 7 has a 4K 120 hertz mode now, which is just a lot of frames at a very high resolution. Now, I don't know if it's true 4K, but nevertheless, that's an impressive feat for any console to hit. And so, yeah, it's two extremes. So for a lot of people, kind of what the sentiment is like now is that if you have a PS5 already, unless one of these games, like the differences are so huge that you're like, I have to experience Forbidden West at that. I don't have a PC to do it. I don't have the money for it, but I can afford $700 for this new. Okay. If you're not in that camp, and if you don't have a PS5, you're looking to get in and you don't mind the extra money, obviously that's probably the way that you want to go, is just go straight to the Pro. But otherwise, there's not quite enough yet to be definitively say, yes, everyone should upgrade to a Pro, which we talked about before is similar to what you would have expected with the PS4 Pro. 15% of all sales were the Pro model. 85% were the base. That's probably not going to change dramatically with this one either. Sony knows that, but it's cool to be there.
It might because of GTA. That's the only reason why that
number will go up dramatically with that. But in terms of over the lifespan of the whole console, I doubt that it's gonna be like 50% of all PlayStation 5s were pros. No, it'll be similar to that. Yeah, but it's good news is that at the very least, it's not some sort of flop or anything. It has its merits. However, I will say this: it's still because it's just funny to think of, and there's a reason for it. But a lot of people had this question anyway. Does Bloodborne finally run at 60 frames per second? No. That's an engine lock. It is not anything to do with the console. The PS5 could have obviously by itself ran Bloodborne at 60 FPS. That is an engine lock. Yes, it is the biggest question mark and enigma in the history of fucking modern video games as to why that bitch ain't on a PC or is not 60 FPS on the Pro or anything. It's weird. I don't understand how nobody is even hearing rumors about it possibly being a thing. It's the strangest fucking phenomena ever. That would easily sell 3 to 5 million copies. Unquestionable. And it's not here. And unfortunately, no, to answer the question, does not run at 60 on the PS5 Pro. AMD, speaking of also new hardware and fancy gaming stuff, well, it is on PC via emulation. Yes, well, I'm talking about not emulate. I mean, you can even hack a PlayStation to run at 60, but the normal legal way, let's say, this just does not exist. AMD has officially buried Intel, Mr. Black. It's happened. I mean, Intel was already burying themselves. Like, they were standing in the grave that they dug themselves and were continuing to dig. And then AMD showed up with a shovel and said, "Hey, chum, do you need some help?" And then started also throwing dirt in on top of them while they were digging. So Intel has been struggling for a while now on a number of fronts for a number of various reasons that we don't have to all get into now, but to say that they have been struggling. Their newest set of processors, the 200 series, I guess you might want to call it, is a complete and utter failure. Nobody should basically buy any of them. They're overpriced garbage that perform worse on average than their previous generation of chips. AMD had a similar problem with their latest, where both Intel and AMD were both trying to hit efficiency targets instead of performance targets, to a point, with their new series. And then AMD came out with the 9800 X3D. This new chip is rolling up and smoking everything ever fucking made for video games, and not just by a small margin. These are huge gaps in many games right now. Monstrous fucking gaps between this chip and other chips, including their previous champion, the 7800 X3D, which was already fucking god tier for AMD. How much, you might be saying, Adam? How much of a difference? We're talking north of 40% in some titles difference between Intel's best gaming processor and the 9800 X3D. 40%! That is an insane! That is a multi-generational leap. 40% is unheard of. It's nuts. On average, if I had to average them out in my head, you'd be able to like run the raw numbers with, you know, Hardware Unboxed and Gamers Nexus. I would say the average, even in the best case scenarios across everything, is it's still besting everything by between 15 and 20%, which is just monstrous. And so, I don't know what else to say about that except Intel is super fucked. And if you needed more proof, you're saying, well, Adam, you know, Intel's still doing well. It's not just gaming. How much does gaming really have to do with it, et cetera, et cetera? Well, if you don't know already, AMD has been smoking them in the server side and whatnot as well. Intel is doing so poorly right now that they are officially being replaced by Nvidia on the Dow. Intel is being removed from the Dow and being replaced by Nvidia. That shit's crazy. If anyone ever asked me 10 years ago, is Intel ever going to be stripped off the fucking Dow? I'd be like, are you insane? It's Intel. They're like the largest fucking chip company on the planet. They are ahead by no, literally impossible. The amount of horrible decisions that they would have to make consecutively to get removed from the Dow is almost incalculable. I'm here to tell you that they made those decisions. The math is mathin', and it is in fact calculable, and they have managed to pull it off. Intel's in shambles. I don't know how they're going to fucking pull up on this nosedive. They're still a massive company, don't get it twisted. But the fact that they are getting trounced by AMD, who is fighting two fights at once, by the way. AMD is doing graphics cards versus Nvidia, and CPUs versus Intel. And they were smaller than both of them. They're fighting on two fronts.
If you invested into Nvidia right now, you're retired.
Oh, if you 10 years ago, if you were into Nvidia for like any amount of money,
10 grand, you had 10 grand in Nvidia 10 years ago. Oh yeah, easy multi.
And what's bothersome is that there's no way. Like, some people be like, yeah, I knew. Shut the fuck up. You didn't know shit. Ain't nobody sitting there going, at some point, the CEO for Nvidia is going to absolutely hard pivot into cryptocurrency and AI technology and grift them all the way to $1 trillion fucking valuation. Nobody.
Yeah, bro. In the last 5 years,
2,800%.
2,800%. What the fuck? In the last 5 years, bro. 5 years.
Here's my question. because I know I have thoughts on this too. How much of that is now you're gonna know what I mean when I say this. How much of that is real, and how much of that is currently unchecked speculation? Because 2,800% in 5 years is just that's not even like that's crypto fucking exit strategy level.
This year is 208%.
Yeah, no shot.
208% this year.
No chance.
Year to date. So, like, if you put in 10 grand a year ago, you got 208% return on your money.
Yeah, you're up to like 28 grand.
I mean, bruh. It's a lot of money. I think a big part of it is speculation, but I think it's good speculation. I think it's like speculation that people are getting in, man. There's what it is, man, is AI. AI is coming, whether we want it or not, right? So, this Nvidia stock could be a $500 stock in another 5 years. Like
it could literally crash out. Like it could crash. It could crash out too. Because AI right now, I think some of the edge has come off of AI for sure. Like, how often were we hearing about AI? It was like fucking literally every 5 seconds there was something about AI constantly fucking all the time. I think people in general, investors and otherwise, I think there's two categories of investors for this right now. I think there's a category of investors that's investing because they know that they're riding a speculation train, and then at some point that's going to correct pretty hard, because I think there's a large class of investors that understands that while AI is very powerful and it's advancing at speed, a lot of people don't understand what AI is really actually like. First of all, a lot of people don't even understand what AI is. People still, I think, at this point believe that we've reached some sort of point where it's a literal intelligence model. And not, it's like it's actual general intelligence, and it's not. We are still at a point where it's only as good as the data that you're feeding it. It's 100% basically like what's on the internet. What can I scan, and then what can I algorithmically put together that makes sense. That's what AI is right now. But the idea for enough people of what AI could be. Is so high that it's running the numbers just fucking historically through the roof. These numbers could stick if Nvidia doesn't fumble it, meaning that they take the money that they're making right now and actually weaponize it to get to a point where their valuation, their real valuation or the real value of the company matches the speculative nature. Because, there's always the two parts to this. It's the speculative value and the real value of any given company, which then, if it's a publicly traded company, affects the value of the stock itself.
I mean, there is speculation, but I mean, this isn't like a 3 month where, people are buying in on the news and then fucking selling afterwards. This shit's been fucking pumping. I mean, it's a $3.64 trillion. I mean, we're at the point now where massive institutional money is in this. Bruh, I don't think there's going to be any crash. There'll be dips, but there ain't a world in which I see this thing is going down by 20-30% straight up.
No.
Like, no, they ain't going to lose, 800 million market cap on, where everybody's just dumping all at once. There'd have to be some crazy black swan event, some wild shit. And at that point, I don't think it's just Nvidia. I think the whole market would be on fire. But yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, I'm not a stock expert, but I mean, I don't own any Nvidia. So,
it's crazy.
But
I think about like when people talk, people always reference, at least our age and older, will reference like IBM, right? Getting into IBM early. And IBM took a hot minute to like really develop into something. So just the absolute speed of this and the magnitude is just
it's crazy.
Insane to me. It does make me laugh though, because like as much as I'm not involved in crypto really at all at this point, It does make me laugh, though, when people are like, yo, it's not the same as the stock market. It's not, crypto's all speculation. And I was like, I always think to myself when I hear somebody say that crypto is entirely speculation. I was like, do you know what the stock market is? Do you understand how half of this shit works? It's also just mostly speculative shit and hedging against speculation and possible events. That's the same thing. The mechanisms in which people are investing and withdrawing money is different. There might be regulatory differences. But at the end of the day, it's still a bunch of people with monkey brain going, me think number go up, buy now. Me think number go down, sell now. That's it. And then companies' entire values and what they are able to weaponize in terms of accessible funds to continue growing as a company at pace and outpacing competitors is entirely based upon their ability to convince a bunch of people buying into a publicly traded company like theirs that they are going to be able to convert that into something spectacular. That's it. It's entirely speculation. Some companies are better at meeting that speculation than others and converting it. And that's a different story. But the idea of like, it's just funny to me. People are nuts. Like Warren Buffett said it best. Somebody said, listen, he said, just put money in, don't take it out. That's it. That's as complicated as it gets. Like, how do you get so wealthy? Just put it in, don't take it out.
Yeah.
That's literally as complex because it will keep going up.
Yeah. Well, depending on what you're in, but yes, I agree. Just keep buying, hold, keep buying. That's just when I'm buying I just buy fucking easy dividend paying stocks. It's just like super
and just sit.
Simple shit. I get a decent return each year, and then I get a guaranteed, pretty much, well, not guaranteed, but they have a massive track record of paying out their dividends, and it's nothing crazy.
Low risk.
It just, you do it over 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. You're good. That's just how it
Magical.
is. Intel,
Magical.
not so good.
No. Which is, in fairness to that point, there's probably a lot of people that are like, shit, do we jump ship? Because eventually, like and this is a great case, is that, we talk about, will Nvidia ever crash out? We say no. But we just finished talking about how Intel is crashing out. And like 10 years ago, if you looked at Intel and said, would Intel ever crash out? Impossible. Too big to fail. Well, they're currently keeping their head above water. So anything is possible because at any given time, anyone can make one or a series of horrible decisions.
Yeah.
And fuck up. Quick news bits for this week, Mr. Black. After Nintendo released a comically priced alarm clock not long ago called Alarmo, there was really only one question left. What would the TTD be? You're asking what the fuck TTD is? Or TTD is? Well, just this week the question was answered. Doom has officially been run on Alarmo. We've done it. The time to Doom was short. It only just came out, and it's already running on the Alarmo. So if you don't want to, at least wake up in the morning to your favorite Nintendo music until you hate it, you can play Doom on your Alarmo clock, which sounds so much better. Clean your camera lens? Nah, it ain't dirty at all. It's just not in focus because I'm leaning too far backwards. Here, let me help you. So, what else do I have here? Ah, yes, we talked about this earlier. GTA 5. Oh, I should also mention with Nintendo because I forgot to mention this earlier as well. We have confirmation that the new Switch will, in fact, run current-gen Switch titles. That's it. Big shocker on that one.
Did I not call that one out?
I mean, you gotta. Can you imagine? Here's the Switch 2. It can't play Switch 1 games. Go fuck yourself. Can you imagine just the absolute... Be riot in the streets? Be crazy.
It would be riot in the streets.
Bunch of toddlers running around with their parents, screaming obscenities at Nintendo. GTA 5, we talked about this earlier, but here's a follow-up, a little factoid for you, has officially sold 205 million copies. 205 million copies. That is an insane People meme about Skyrim being resold and repackaged and resold a million times. I think Skyrim sold, it's in the 30 to 50 million pocket after all those repackages and all those selling on all those different consoles. Meanwhile, GTA 5 has got 205 schmil sold through. That's insane.
That is kind of
fucking
crazy.
Nuts. Red Dead Redemption 2, no slouch, especially given it's a far more niche title than Grand Theft Auto. 67 million.
Damn.
For Red Dead Redemption 2.
That's more than I thought it. That's more than I thought it sold. To be honest,
yeah.
It's like it's a huge. I knew it was a huge game, but like it didn't feel.
Nobody talks about it really.
No, it's just there.
I occasionally joke about it because some developer spent time doing horse testicle shrinkage in the cold as a function in the game. Like that's a thing. That's the level of detail. Somebody woke up, got a coffee, and then said, all right, how can I do the physics on this testicle shrinkage on this horse? It's an important. We make that joke. We made that joke with my Skyrim modding. I think Daffy always said, can we have shrinking horse testicles yet? If not, this is a waste of time. What are we doing? Concord, speaking of a waste of time, Concord, after its 8 to 10 plus year development time and a cool $400 million budget, Firewalk Studios is shut down. Big shocker. That was going to happen. But they're gone. And not surprising. If you can manage to find a way to spend 10 years and $400 million and not even sell like 20,000 units, maybe the video games industry is not for you. Maybe you should try something different. I'm not even talking about the internal, like individual developers as a whole collective, but whoever was managing that project, whoa baby. They should not be managing any more video games ever again. Ever. And finally, Kojima now has full ownership over Death Stranding. They were, it was a Sony exclusive for some time. I don't think there's been any mention of it, but I did see somebody comment on this, and I believe I would agree with this. I don't think it's public knowledge, but I would agree with this, that when he first started Kojima Productions and then Death Stranding was their game, when he pitched that to Sony, I suspect contractually he said, yeah, I'll make it an exclusive, but at some point I need full ownership of this franchise name, this intellectual property. And Sony obviously, I think in this instance, said yes. I think he would have said that because after what he experienced with Konami and Metal Gear Solid, he's like, I can't have that happen again. I can't have somebody else controlling that shit. So they got control over Death Stranding, and immediately, like the same day basically, it was released on all Xbox platforms with improved frame rates, photo mode, and Xbox Play Anywhere included. So, which I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it's been a while since I've heard about Play Anywhere, but I believe that means that if you own it on the Xbox, you can play it on any version of the Xbox, you can play it on the PC, doesn't matter, play it anywhere, you own it once, play it on any of your devices under the Xbox umbrella, and away you go. Which is great. That means Kojima now, at this point, knowing this, it feels like Kojima Productions is now fully independent. They own their only real major IP. It's done very well. I know I'm looking forward to the second one. The first game was a complete fucking acid trip. And I'm excited to see what Acid Trip Part 2, the Electric Boogaloo, brings with it. Yeah, well done by Kojima to bring that home. And now, Mr. Black, it's time for a little sellout. What do you got?
We got patreon.com/legtv. Head on over there, throw some money at the screen if you guys want to support us directly. Shoutouts to all those that continue to do that. And then, of course, we have NordVPN. Go check them out at nordvpn.com/OTT. Link will be in the description of the video on YouTube as well. Stay safe, stay anonymous on the internet. Watch different regions of Netflix and other streaming services at the click of a button. I use mine on just about a daily basis, like 5 days a week. I usually have mine on, especially when I'm out and about, whether I'm at the gym using their Wi-Fi, whether I'm at, in Walmart for whatever reason. using Wi-Fi, restaurants, you name it. I got my NordVPN. Click of a button, boom, you're there. Your IP's masked. You're good to go. You're safe. You have anonymity, and you can do it up to 10 simultaneous devices now. That's right, 10. I think before it was 6. We bumped it to 10.
That's right.
So go check them out, guys. It's a great way to support them, us, and yourself all at once. And you can use it on your Mac, your PC, your iPad, your iPhone, on virtually anything and everything. You can get all set up. So go check them out. Again, it's nordvpn.com/OTT.
And now it's time for
movies and news.
Star Wars, Mr. Black. We love shitting on it. And you have the capability to shit on it now more than ever. Star Wars episodes 10 through 12 are reportedly officially in development now. Get
With
excited.
Daisy Ridley. Yay.
I have no idea. Maybe?
Yes.
Stop. No, they are not.
Google it.
Come on,
Star
bro.
Star Wars Daisy Ridley.
You can't.
There we go.
Not even Mark Hamill and company got 6 fucking films. Like, come on. Well,
Daisy
that's a lie.
Ridley
Mark
starts
did.
dropping huge reveals. So, star Daisy Ridley teases Rey's return in future Star Wars movies.
Please.
Yep.
You know what? I'll suffer a cameo or 2. Don't give me her as the center. And I'm not talking about the actress, obviously, here. I'm talking about the character. Don't give me Rey as the center of attention for 3 more fucking films. Please, no. She wasn't a good character the first time. She sure as shit ain't going to be a good character after 3 fucking films to try to salvage that shit. Please no.
They're brain dead over there, man. They're brain dead.
Will they even have Kathleen Kennedy to blame anymore? Because she's like going to be gone. Is she already gone at this point? Like, is she still there? Like, isn't she supposed to be?
She's still there. She's still there. She's supposed to fuck off after Indiana Jones 5, which absolutely failed on just
every metric possible.
Bad. Yeah, she's still there. I don't know what the fuck they're doing, bro, but it is what it is, man. Fuck
meth.
Disney.
It's got to be meth at this point. Mass Effect TV series is officially also in development. I believe this is on Amazon's side of the fence, with the Fast and Furious 9 writer at the helm. I don't know.
Okay.
That's an interesting combination. But at this point, fuck it. You know, more of the video game related stuff has been better or good than bad recently. So I'll just continue to hope that this continues that trend. If there was ever a show, or if ever a game that I can think of that would be really well suited for a TV series, Mass Effect is on the short list. And so if they can manage to fuck up Mass Effect, yikes.
Yeah.
I mean, in fairness, was Fast and Furious... Wait, was Fast and Furious 9 the one where they went to space?
Yes.
Perfect pairing. They've nailed it. It's perfect. He knows exactly what to do. This writer has been to space already. He can do it. Other than that, it's time, Mr. Black, to talk about our favorite dumpster fire that hasn't visited space yet, but I believe at some point we're going to have... And I'm Nick Lachey in space at some point in the future. Love is Blind. Em and I finished it.
Finished it.
Fully
What'd you think?
Done. Bro, that reunion.
Oh. Tough to
watch.
I
don't know if you're noticing this, but the left side of my head lost even more hair recently. I'm pretty sure it has to do with watching the fucking reunion. I'm not going to lie. Oh. That shit was
dumpster fire.
Unrepentant. 125% dumpster fire. Okay, this season, only 2 couples got married. 2. That's a horrible turnover. Holy shit. That is a horrific turnover. I will say that of the two that got married, one of those couples, and I don't remember anyone's fucking names like ever. It's the two like scientists, Garrett and what's her name?
Yeah.
They seem like the closest thing to the best outcome the show has ever produced. From like these guys have the best chance at making this work that I've seen of all the seasons. They also, I think some of that's also because they don't feel like they belong on reality television. They feel like too normal, like they're too normal for the fucking show. Like they got a little bit of spice there when she got upsetty spaghetti about finding out about him having responded to that girl. It was overblown. She obviously has baggage with being cheated on like crazy, and she really overcorrected on that one. And but that was like, and dude, the producers had to lean so hard into that to make it look like there was literally any sauce in there to be put on TV for that group, because otherwise, like, everyone else is on fire, and then they like go over there, and these two were like these perfect little like they're talking through everything logically. They're like beautiful communication. The families, like, some of them don't even want to be on camera, not for any other reason than they just don't want to be on TV. Like, everyone's just normal. And it's like, oh, finally, she's upset about something. Can we get like an entire episode just for that, please?
Yeah. They overplayed that big time.
Oh my god, dude! They leaned so hard into that. It was such a. I mean, she did react really strongly to it. I understand why. I think she leaned into it herself a little too hard after a while, like, because the moment that she recognized that she was reacting to the degree that she was because of previous trauma, as soon as you recognize that that's what you're doing, you have to be able to dial it back and stop. But she recognized it, and she kept going. And that was where I was like, all right, okay, it's time to. The guy didn't commit murder. He didn't cheat. In fact, what he said was actually like the best case scenario that you could probably hope for. I bet you he said it the way he did because he knew if he said that he fully responded, that was how it was going to play. He was circumnavigating.
Yeah.
That whole thing. Shout outs to whoever gave him hair plugs in the last year, because when he got onto the fucking reunion, that man had 17 times the hairline. And apparently he found fashion in the last year, because he came out looking like he wanted to be sitting on the side of the runway in Milan watching haute couture fashion.
I wasn't really feeling his fashion, to be honest. I wasn't even feeling what the hell she was wearing. I'm like, what the fuck are these guys like? What is this? It's like
they're in it. They definitely got a little eccentric in the last year. But again, showing once again of everyone sitting in that room, one, they had very little to talk about because obviously they're
boring, dude. They're just boring. They're just a boring couple that, just do what they do, and I'm happy for them. But like,
it doesn't make
they're like,
as
hey,
good
what
television.
have you done over the last year? We've done some fishing, and we
moved successfully to the halfway point between the two families. Everything worked well. We compromised.
Yeah. Meanwhile, everybody else is just on fire.
Oh my god, dude! What's her face? Hannah.
I can't stand Hannah.
Is the worst worst person they've had on this show by miles. Miles! Man. I have never seen such delusion. But you know what was crazy is that, and you'll probably remember this part too, is that at some point in the reunion, what were they talking about? Oh, it was, who was it that was trying to like get it out of her? I can't remember if it was Nick or his wife that were like doing that, because they like occasionally will like, they're doing like mini interviews or whatever, and they were trying to like walk her to recognizing that maybe she went a little fucking overboard. Yeah. And they were walking there, and then she started crying, and then the question was, why are you crying?
Why are you crying?
They know the answer to this, by the way, but they're asking this question anyway. And her response was like, I'm just a little emotional about this whole, and she almost said it. It almost came out loud, because in her mind she went, accountability is happening. Wait a minute, and then somebody else in their mind went, nope, and knocked that one out and took the wheel and steered directly back into denial and insanity.
Yeah. And then Nick goes, hey man, I think, everybody's been tough on her. You know what I mean? Like, let's just, you know what I mean? He's trying to get through it. And everybody's starting to pile on her a bit. And obviously social media's just been fucking tearing her a new ass.
Rightfully so. She's bonkers.
And then he's like, yeah, there's been a lot of mean posts and stuff like that. And then instead of her just saying, hey, Nick, I appreciate that. Hey, my bad. She goes, well, you're liking those posts. And then she just starts going in. And then this is her would be Marissa.
This would be her yapping. When you say Nick, it's not. We're not talking Nick Lachey. We're talking Nick. Her Nick. Was fiance at the time.
Ex.
Previous, yeah.
And then Marissa starts yapping, and she starts taking Hannah's side, and I'm like, oh my God, don't you already got enough problems?
Well, see,
what the hell? How are you even sticking up for this? This is crazy talk.
I know how. You want to know how? Marissa's a piece of work. So.
Oh yeah, I couldn't handle her either. Although Ramses is a fucking twat too.
Ramses has got his own problems.
Yeah.
Here's what really bothered me about that whole thing. Well, so she was taking her side so with such ferocity because obviously they're friends for one, but two, she was being just as delusional and making shit up in order to back up all of these claims. But here's the reason why that happened. Her and her friend are all up in their feelings, feeling like they got done dirty by their men. They've exacerbated, they've turned to the extreme what actually happened. They've just leaned in, and they are at zero fault for anything, both of them. No accountability, zero. Negative accountability. Marissa is just really salty about her own situation.
Yeah.
But she can't go after Ramses the same way that they feel they can go after Nick.
Yeah.
And so she's just using Hannah as a conduit to hate a man on the other side of the room. That was what was happening there, 100%, because even in the crowd, some of Marissa's friends were like,
yeah. And then you got all these stupid fucking contestants from previous seasons you give zero fuck about. And they're over there like the peanut gallery, giving their 2 cents and making all these faces. I'm like, guys, I just want to focus on this cast. I already forgot about you 6 seasons ago. Fuck off. Nobody cares that the season 1 person found another man and had a baby. You know why they do this? They do this shit for an illusion to show people that the show works and people can find love.
Yes.
And you know what I mean? But they've got an awful track record, dude.
Oh, horrible.
Awful. You had that one couple that had a baby together that are still together. And even they had drama in their season. One dude picked the other girl, but ended up going back and picking the other chick. And so they work because they're both a little weird together, and they just work. You just kind of knew they were going to work. But pretty much everybody else has just been an absolute dumpster fire on every other season. Like divorces, like you name it. It's just, it ain't working. And they're trying their best. Apparently, that sit down, they filmed for 6 hours.
Holy shit.
So it was a 6-hour film, and then they condensed it down to like an hour and 30 minutes. Yeah.
That's a lot of talking. I mean, so speaking of Ramses, I agree, he's got his own shit. That dude's got some issues to work through himself. But what bothered me, I talked to Em about this too. We were sitting down, we were watching this, and I said, I want you to pay very close attention to what's going on right now. She said, what do you mean? I said, there was 20 straight minutes of Nick and Ramses, who both have their own problems, taking full accountability for everything that they did.
Yep.
And saying that they fucked up. And then that's it. And while they're doing it, the dynamic is, if it's a guy who is taking accountability, everyone dogpiles.
Shit on him.
Nick Lachey and his wife dogpile. They double down further for the views. Everyone dogpiles the man who's taking accountability. And then when it jumps to the other side of that same failed relationship, zero accountability. And everyone goes to the girl and says, "Oh, honey, you didn't deserve that. You're just, it's okay. Everything's crazy. Everyone makes mistakes. It's fine. It's whatever." And like Nick, what you mentioned with Hannah, who is categorically the most narcissistic, fucking insano chick that the show's ever had. There's been some dudes who are as bad as her, but for like the women, she's easily the worst of all the women I've seen on the show. She just finished almost recognizing her issues and then sidestepping to quadruple down.
Oh, yeah.
And that was, at that moment, was when Nick Lachey steps in and says, "You didn't deserve this. It's okay. You're a beautiful person. Yada, 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 such, whatever. And so zero accountability, all dogpiling on one side gets all of the like support. And then on the other side, it's as much. And again, these two guys, not perfect. They're pretty fucked up. They've got some issues, but they're there saying they fucked up.
Yeah, they're owning it.
Trying to take and own it. And every time,
and I mean,
they getting
what exactly
getting fucked
Nick
on.
Really do that was so fucked up though. Like
well,
the guy
was,
just sat there
Nick specifically. So
the whole season, right? He's a little immature. He's not, he's not really a responsible dude.
He's a mama's boy.
He's a mama's boy. He's a little bit of a fuck boy. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's like, dude, this chick just fucking reamed this dude. And a lot of it came from what I was hearing, because I've been watching all this behind the scenes shit and these other interviews on this other shit and these podcasts. But this came from the fact that Nick, for one, Nick goes, "Hey, I don't want to talk about us having sex and stuff on the show." And he says this straight up. And Hannah's like, "Yeah, he won't eat my pussy." And I'm like, "What? Come again?" She's like, "Yeah, he won't eat my pussy." Right? And
I remember. Yes, she is crazy.
And I'm like, dude, like he told you in the beginning, like when everybody was like, when they were in Mexico and they were all talking about who had sex, and he would just like deny it. He'd be like, no, I don't want to. That's between us. Like, no. She immediately, "Oh yeah, we're fucking." Yeah, he don't eat pussy. I'm like, what the fuck? Why are you saying this on national TV? It turns out that Nick, from the discussions that I've been hearing, is when they got together, Nick he wasn't really feeling her all that much, like physically, right? So he was
which is fair enough.
Which is fair, right? But he was still going through the motions. He was into her. He was like, it's not like he wasn't fully like not attracted to her, but he wasn't like enamored. You know what I mean? And then she made some sort of post on Instagram or something, and somebody in the comments section said, "Yeah, he wouldn't eat your pussy," or something like that. Why would you say that? It's like, does Nick not eat pussy? And then he posted underneath the post and he said, "Nah, just not hers." Right? And I was like, "Oh, okay." So, I think what happened is Nick ended up telling a couple of the other cast members that, like, he kind of admitted it towards the end of them dogpiling him, when everyone's like, "Yeah, you said something about
it's like I don't know what the grenade, but I called her grenade."
Like, I don't even know. Maybe that's like just like millennial, or not even millennial, fucking Gen Z type talk. I don't know what that means, grenade.
I've never heard anyone not in that sense. Typically, if somebody calls somebody a grenade,
you're a bomb, like you're a bombshell, like you're a smoke show or something. I don't
know. No, like the only thing that I've ever heard, like grenade or like a Molotov is and you'll hear me make reference to it. Like the only reference I've heard for that is like it's like in a social situation, you throw somebody in that's going to stir a bunch of shit up and be insane.
So like that makes more sense.
But in his case, they were not using it like that. They were saying grenade in the sense that he was saying she was ugly.
So, but apparently he's still saying he didn't say that. But what he did say was like he wasn't like, super attracted to her of some sort, right? Like. And she must have got wind of that from some of the girls, because, they all yap and talk with each other. Yeah. And, she was going in on him a lot, and she wanted him to flip out. She was trying to get him to, like, show...
She wanted to make him look really awful.
Correct. Yeah. And he wasn't giving it to her. He was basically like, it just reminded me of, like, how my grandmother was my grandfather, where it's like my nan would just fucking... Like, and he would just take it. He would just take it. "Yes, dear. Yes, dear. Okay, I'm sorry, dear. I'm sorry. And that's what but this is like on another level. This was like beyond emotional abuse. Like it was like she was going in. I made you a man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like she
said some crazy out of pocket shit, dude.
Like just some wild shit that you just don't say to a dude. It's a grown man. I don't care how much of a mama's boy he is or how like, you know, not put together he is than you. These just certain things that you just don't say to somebody, and then you like and then things they're gonna forget this. Like there's just like off limit shit. Like there's things that you don't even say about certain like about women. Period. Even if you feel like in your heart that like this person is horrible at this and whatnot, there are just daggers you don't throw because like there ain't no coming back. You
can't come back from it.
She was going in on this motherfucker the whole goddamn time. Dude, the dudes got reamed up there. But they all did. The fucking guy that had the sleep apnea shit where he's like texting some girl about some shit. And he's like, he comes out, he's like, yeah, you know what?
Yeah, I'm a sex addict. I'm in therapy.
A sex addict. I'm in therapy. I'm working on it. Hey, do your bidding. You know what I mean? I didn't see the girl. She was talking about some fantasies and shit. I was hopped up. Sleep apnea. I shouldn't have done it. And he's even in Mexico talking about, and that was another thing. He's in Mexico. And I don't know if you remember this. But when he's in Mexico and he's talking to the girl, he comes over, he's drunk, right? He comes over, he's like, hey guys, yeah, man. Just like the DMs, like something. He said something about the lines of like, there's just, when we get back, man, there's going to be so many people DMs, like maybe like wanting to suck my dick. Something like that.
Oh, yeah,
like
he said
shit ever.
Yeah, he did.
It's like, what are you doing? Everybody's looking at him like, what the fuck? And then he admits to her that he slid into somebody's DMs in a previous relationship, and that's why they broke up. And it was like he didn't physically cheat, but he was like emotionally cheating. Yeah. And he does the same thing here, and it's just like, okay. And then he's like, yep. Because the whole internet just fucking reaming this dude forever and a day, right?
God,
like,
yeah.
And you know how Netflix like tapes these things, like they create villains, right? This is reality TV.
Yes,
and they spice it up, and he got fucking.
And all of this content is a year old at this point. Like this shit was filmed a year ago,
so
like a year ago.
We've already been through all this. I've been through therapy. We're cool now. It was stupid. We're in the middle, everything, but it's all fresh to everybody else, right? So he's getting it. Then you got Tyler, the dude that's got fucking 3 kids, and that whole thing's a Jerry Springer show.
That's a crazy fucking situation.
He's like, yeah. He's like, yeah, they're sperm babies, right? So I don't know if you know the story about this. But essentially what happens between Tyler and Ashley, the other couple that got married. So Tyler ends up he had a good friend that that's a female, and she had a girlfriend. Okay. Yeah. So, they doing their thing. So they couldn't obviously conceive because, well, they're both females, right?
Yes.
So they tried to they wanted to have kids, but they couldn't afford to do the
IVF.
IVF, right?
Yeah.
So this guy goes, hey, how about I fill you up, you have some kids, you have a kid, and then I'll just be out of the picture, right? Like I'm just gonna do this because we're really close friends, and so on and so forth. They agree. So his friend gets pregnant. They have a child. Turns out that this couple, they end up splitting up, and the girl that wasn't pregnant, but the other girl, she moves to California, and she fucks off. So now she's now a single mom, and Tyler goes, you know what? It's theoretically my offspring. The child's still really young. I am down to help you because she's struggling. She can't pay bills well. She you know what I mean? Like he's like, I'll be a father, we're not going to be in a relationship, but I'll be a dad to this. I'll help pay the bills. I'll be there. I'll do all this stuff. So after long thinking about it, and he's not even on the birth certificate. Like he's out of this. This is what I'm hearing. So I'm getting all the tea, right? So she goes, okay. They end up doing it. So he ends up moving in with her. And over a period of time, he basically and her start hooking up consensually. As in, like, hey, even though she's into women, he goes in, he fills her up, and then they have twins. So now they have twins. Now he's on the birth certificate of these twins. And he's like the dad. I mean, he's the dad of all these kids.
Yeah.
But the first situation.
The involvement level, yeah.
Correct. The involvement level. So now they've got 3 kids together. So then he ends up going into casting for the show, and he speaks to her about this, and she's like, go for it. You know, I want you, because they're not actually like in a relationship. They're kind of playing house. You know, it is what it is. Like he's busting a few, she's busting. I don't know what that situation is, but it's messy one way or another. Okay. So he's like, yep, I'm going to go on the show. He goes on the show. He doesn't tell Ashley, the girl that he marries, about having kids, period, until a week before the wedding. So then he drops this bomb, and apparently he drops this bomb off camera. So there's no production, there's no nothing. So she finds out, and he's given a whole bunch of information about the situation, but Netflix films it in a way that it makes it seem as though he basically saying that they're sperm babies and all this other stuff, which he does say. But Ashley actually knows what's really going on, which is the reason why she was defending him so much. And he's like, yeah, I know more than you, trust me. But he didn't want to say too much on camera because he didn't want to implicate his kids and the mother, because the kids are young. So now, though, what gets spicy is the mom. She starts going on social media and she's saying he's full of shit, because now she's seeing a certain edit, but she doesn't realize that he's actually told her all this stuff. So what they end up doing is, on the show, they tell the producers that they're willing to talk about it, but it's a staged thing where they go in and he's telling her this information, and she goes, do they even know what you look like? And he's like, I don't think so. But in reality, he lives with them, and there's videos, and his mother, his baby mama, is posting up videos on the internet of him at Christmas with the kids. They're calling him dad. All this other stuff is going on, and the internet's losing their fucking mind, obviously, because now this guy's a fucking, he's lying about his situation. He's disowning his kids and all this stuff. But the reason why the mom got super mad is because he's actually a bit of a fucking dipshit, because at Mexico, they start sending him videos. The kids are like, hey, I miss you, dad, that stuff. And he says nothing to nobody. He doesn't message them back. He's almost pretending like they don't exist. And a full year goes by after the filming, and he never sees them. He doesn't talk to them. He doesn't do any of this shit. So now we come around here full circle, and now people are shitting on Ashley, because now this guy, if he's willing to do this to his kids, now they're talking about having kids. The whole thing's like a Jerry Springer shit show. It's a fucking meme. So this guy's got 3 kids that he's not seeing, or at least that's the way it's being portrayed. I don't know what's actually happening at this point, but the whole thing was a fucking meme. So this guy got shit on hard, bro. I mean, and then Netflix, they started, there was petitions out and all this other stuff about, because they were like, you're not screening these people. Like, he's lying about kids. You're setting this girl up for this situation, and because you've done all your digging into this. And that's why Nick Lachey and stuff, or no, the producer, like the owner of the show, came out and said they do thorough background checks. They know about all this, but they don't get in the way of what contestants are going to say amongst each other. And they also don't know what is being said when the cameras aren't rolling, because they're not filming 24/7. But then people were getting upset with Netflix, and they already had a bunch of lawsuits about previous seasons, about not feeding people and putting them in these weird conditions and all this crazy shit that was going on. And now they're like, the fans were losing their collective minds. So they went easy. So Nick Lachey and his wife went easy on those two, and didn't talk about the kids, didn't talk about like, oh, well, we've been seeing these videos. What's the situation here? Because they're trying to make Netflix, or not Netflix, but I guess Love is Blind that pays Netflix, or that Netflix pays for the show, to look in its best light possible. So that's a whole fucking drama.
Holy shit.
So, yeah, and most people don't even really know about all this stuff, but it's a mess.
I knew about M because M went digging after that scene or whatever and was seeing people talk about it, and so I knew about him filling her up and shit, instead of it like not being like a traditional IVF situation. It's not like he donated sperm traditionally, kind of a thing.
Inside.
He went in.
They had some fun.
And so, yeah, so that, I knew that part, but there's just the rest of that. Holy hell. Like, what an absolute...
The episode of Jerry Springer.
Dumpster fire, bro.
Yeah.
Pure dumpster fire. But yeah, I was just so... I couldn't... That whole reunion was just... I guess I was also, like, primed for it, for being upset about it, too, because after watching that whole season of Hannah, every scene... was her basically just demoralizing, demasculating, being diminutive to, like, just shrinking Nick as a person in every single scene. At one point, it was so extreme. At one point, I said to him, this has got to just be producers. There's no way she's like this all the time. There's no way he's not doing something to incite something like some of this shit. And it's, as it turns out, there was almost nothing except for, like, eventually she discovered that out the gate, he wasn't like 100% feeling her on a physical attractive scale, but was still there doing his thing the whole fucking time. And just a wild, I've never seen somebody. And what was crazier was, like, when I started seeing it, I was like, okay, I need to see what her parents are like. I need to see where this is coming from. And then we get the scene with her parents, and neither of her parents are even remotely close. In fact, her mom was like, what is going on with you? You are so stressed. You're so talking about him like, what the fuck is going on over there? Calm down. This should be happy. What are you doing? It was just, at that point I said, okay, the next thing I said after I saw the family, I said, there's only one other factor here. Show me the friends. Show me the friends. And then we saw the friends, and it all made sense. Every one of those girls at the table act the same way and feel vindicated in acting the same way. Dude, that was the harshest, most unnecessary grill session on Nick. Every word that came out of his mouth was, like, picked apart and misconstrued and, like, weaponized against him. And again, like, Nick in every scene, it's the crazy, and this is probably why it happened to him, is he was just taking it. There was no real defense. He's never really raising his voice.
And it was pissing her off. It was pissing her off because I think subconsciously now she knew too, man, I'm looking bad because he's not fighting. Bad. And he's doing this on purpose to continue to make me look bad. And it's like, no matter how I dig at this dude, his manhood, his financial status, his height, his fucking job, his the way he cleans or doesn't clean, or every possible thing, she was cutting him up, digging, and he was giving her nothing, and it was making her lose her fucking mind.
Oh my god!
Oh yeah.
And so, dude, seeing all that when we went into the reveal, or like not the reveal, the reunion, I thought in my mind, I said, I can't wait for people to just fucking tear Hannah to pieces. And then I just watched Nick get tear to pieces.
I was
by
mad,
even
bro.
more people. I was just like,
I was mad. I was watching this shit. I was like, bro, this is some bullshit. Fuck you, Hannah. Fucking Ozempic eating motherfucker. Fuck you.
I know she dropped 40 pounds before Love is Blind, and she dropped like another 60 pounds before that friggin' reunion.
Yeah, it's just like, you know what? Fuck right off with your fake fucking ass. She had the nerve to say Nick was only here to get famous. You crazy as hell.
He wrote that like months before the show as like a thing to write down.
Dude,
like,
if anybody was trying to farm fucking Instagram followers and TikTok and shit, it's you. You're fucking terrible. And let's be real. When you go on Love is Blind, everyone is there to fucking get noticed and become an influencer to a degree and get some kind of fame. Because you're not going to Love is Blind strictly and only to find love. For one, they have a horrible track record, so chances are it ain't gonna happen. No. And number two, it's okay to try it and do both. Hey, I'm looking for love, and I'm looking to fucking get known and get my Instagram followers up so I can get some brand deals and see what other shit spins off on this, or so I can go on the next Netflix show. Because that's what they do. They recycle all these people.
They farm
You're
them.
You're going to see fucking Hannah on the next fucking other dating reality show. It's going to be a meme. And she'll go. And she'll do it. Watch. Anyway, I digress. It was a meme. The whole show was a meme. But it was a great drama-filled meme.
Oh, my God.
And you know what? You know what's coming next?
Oh, dude.
Yeah, Temptation Island's coming to Netflix.
Oh, is it?
They picked this shit up.
Oh, no.
I mean, my God, yes. Just like put it in my vein, hook me up.
I gotta talk about one more part about the show, though. Because I forgot to mention it because I wanted to get your take on it. Marissa's mom.
Oh, my God. Man, that fucking...
As Norm Macdonald said, man, what a battle axe. Holy shit. I have never cringed so many times in a single scene of any one of these seasons. I didn't even know how to process that shit, dude.
Dude, it was intense. And I was like, this is crazy talk. I mean, she's obviously she got more baggage than the fucking than a fucking airport terminal. I mean,
way more.
She got
4
like
baby
7
daddies,
kids, and they all have different dads.
Yes.
Ramses comes in and looks like one of the kids.
Yes.
I mean, the whole thing was crazy. She's like, I'll fucking cut your balls off.
Yeah. Like,
Get
what?
a prenup. The fuck? You're not going to take my... wild shit. That, like, I can see parents saying some of these things, like, in private without the dude there. Like, you're amongst, like... family members, and you're like, dude, I don't know about this fucking guy. I don't know if he's in it for the money. I'm scared for my daughter. She's saying this shit on national TV, on Netflix, with cameras, and the dude is sitting there, and you're gonna try. I mean, dude, I'm after that one scene. As much as I can't really fucking stand Ramses,
if I was Ramses, I said to him, I said, I'm out. I'm out.
Oh, I would have just got up and left. There's no way, bro.
I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that might actually be the reason that he wanted to fucking leave, whatever reason he gave her.
It's definitely 100%. Part of it. Imagine that being your mother-in-law, dude. What the fuck?
Chance. Zero chance.
I don't care how much you love this girl. Sorry. I'm sorry. This is gonna be a problem.
That's
big problem.
Crazy. And like, I'm trying to think of like, what was something else that just, like, when I was watching it, just really took me. But the whole thing was just so awkward. It was so nuts. You could see Ramses dying on the inside. He was screaming internally that the entire conversation. He was trying so hard to be like cordial and whatnot. And listen, like, obviously she got a lot of baggage and she's being very protective of her daughter and understandable. But there was like, she went so far past.
She crossed lines
fucking
so far.
And it made sense when I watched it. I said to Em, I said, I understand now. I understand why Marissa's the way she is. Marissa's entire personality, in my opinion, as not a doctor or obviously I'm going to psychoanalyze this chick right now. Marissa's entire personality of hyper energy, hyper laughing like Ned Flanders personality is entirely built upon the foundation of a defense mechanism about how fucking insane her mother is.
Yep.
She was sitting at the table with them as her mom's leaning into this, and she's just like, the whole time. And everyone else is just like,
yeah. And the mom's like, fuck you.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Huh? You here for money?
My daughter's a stubborn bitch.
Yeah.
And she was saying that shit like, I'm just like,
and she cut your dick and balls off and fuck you with them.
It's just like, and Marissa's just like, isn't she funny? Like, what the fuck? So as soon as I saw that, I said, and now I get it. Now I see where it comes from. That's 100%. She's just got her personality is one giant defense mechanism for what her home life was.
Yeah.
And it is Brutal. So we saw a little taste of that though at the reunion. It's like if somebody's that smiley and go happy and everything else all the time, it's like there's usually a balance to it. Something's hiding back there. And on the reunion, we saw just a little taste. But I also said to Stam, I said, you know what? I feel bad. I feel bad for Ramses, but I feel worse for Marissa because of this. Marissa's mom was now right in Marissa's mind.
Yep.
And Marissa's mom is gonna feel vindicated in her position on Ramses.
Yep.
In some weird self-fulfilling prophecy type situation, and it's going to entrench that whole.
Oh yeah. It's crazy, bro.
Marissa ain't marrying, bro. She ain't marrying anyone. There's no shot.
Yeah. Apparently she got a man now, so I don't know.
Nah,
but it ain't gonna
I
fly,
can't.
bro.
He's gonna meet that mom. I should say that. I shouldn't say that. Here's how this will go. Whoever she marries is going to basically need to have come from the exact same environment.
Same type of whole.
And that's
household.
it. Yeah. Nobody else will survive. Nobody else will survive that. Has to be the same thing. And then you have to hope that environment that they're both from, that they are able to avoid bringing that into their own relationship. And just support each other for knowing, like, oh, your mom's crazy? My mom's too. We got a crazy mom.
Yeah, bro. Wild times, man. Good old Love is Blind.
It's time for
tech support.
Patreon.com/like to be a place to go if you want to financially support the podcast outside of doing things like supporting our sponsors, like Factors currently ongoing on the channel. You'll be able to grab that in the description of basically every StarCraft video. I can't remember if we've got it into the podcast once. We'll try to get that in there as well. But either way, every StarCraft video from last week would have the Factor link. $5 or more every single month gets you a couple perks. Chiefly, it allows you to ask us questions for tech support, a section where you ask us questions on the post I put up before the podcast on the Patreon page, and we give you answers with the time that we have. Let's see what we got this week. Josh asks, we're just starting. Listen, it was impossible for this not to become part of the questions this week. With Trump pushing the largest deportation plan in history, do you think everyone will just go to Canada? No. By a lot will try. A lot are already trying. Coincidentally, the U.S.'s southern border issue has become, to a smaller extent, because they have to travel the entirety south to north of the U.S., has become a Canada problem, where we now have a whole bunch of migrants that are just now going from like the ass end of the states out through the mouth and into Canada. And this is a thing that our governments have jointly discussed already, trying to come up with solutions as it is. So whatever that looks like now, God only fucking knows, but we'll see. But no, not everyone's going to fucking go to Canada, but a lot of people will and will continue to do so. But yeah, what do you think? Is everyone coming here, Mr. Black?
No, everyone's not coming here. But if you're an illegal alien, stay out of here.
Yeah,
I mean, it's that simple. I mean,
there was a crazy.
We'd love to have you, but just do it the right way. Because
basically,
we got an immigration problem ourselves. So last thing we need is grabbing a couple million from fucking the U.S.
Shout out to Mitch for that 10 sheet, by the way. Thank you very much, Mitch. I saw a crazy video that was a really interesting watch from the standpoint of just is that like where we seem to be. And it's because it's not just here that the immigration thing is a thing. It's like this is all over the fucking world. Germany, Netherlands, France, UK, and then Poland. And Poland was experiencing a whole bunch of issues with this where they were forcefully trying to cross borders to get in. And there was like some serious battles going on at the border, like people dying at the border because of this. And they had to militarize the border. And now they just have it in place. Then, like, they've literally had this in place. I'm not saying that anyone should necessarily adopt this here because I don't think it would work the same way. It's not quite the same environment. But where they have a shoot on sight order at the border. Like, even if you think that you're coming like legally, if you're trying to come in through that area of the like don't. Like Poland's leadership is just like, don't do it. because we have a shoot on site. Don't fucking bother. And then they went over the whole thing where it was like, we want people coming in here. We want immigration, but it has to be legally. That's it.
It has to be a process, man. It has to be a process.
Anything less is unacceptable.
And listen, I'm at the point now where I just don't give a fuck. I mean, people can fucking say, yeah, you can call me whatever you fucking label you want. It's one of the reasons why Trump won the fucking election. They're just tired of your shit. Not somebody I would personally vote for. But
if everyone's a racist, nobody's a racist is kind of the problem that we're running into.
But at the same time, the Democratic Party just fucking shit the goddamn bed hard.
Oh my God!
And people are just tired of this fucking super woke, fucking crazy leftist ideologies and these wild things that are going on. And at the end of the day, you got to start looking out for your country. And I'm not saying that crazy wild shit ain't happening on the other side, because it does. 100%. Say me picking on one side. I'm more right-leaning than I am left, but I was left pretty much my whole life. This is an issue that regardless of who's in,
we would have the same position. Regardless of who is in power, the position stays the same. Legal immigration or bust. That's
just it. That's it. Right? You're good. I mean, at the end of the day, right? You can't just allow millions and millions of people to come into your country illegally and open up the floodgates, both in Canada and in the US, and expect good things to happen unless there is a motive from the government to basically bring people in to populate certain parts, whether it's of the States or in Canada, to garner votes for the future, and or prop up GDP so that the economy doesn't absolutely crumble because you printed endless amounts of money. And probably both of those things are true to a degree. But at the end of the day, nobody, dude, if you're at your house, right, and somebody comes to your house and you didn't invite them, you don't know who the fuck they are, they're just on your property. They're just there. You don't know what they're going to do. They're not all bad people. Maybe it's just somebody I don't fucking know, for whatever reason. Do you want people just showing up? In the States, you can literally be shot in a lot of different states for trespassing.
Castle doctrine.
Literally be shot, right? The states are quite a bit more extreme in terms of like their constitutional rights and all this other stuff than what Canada is, just from like a patriotic level and what they really stand for. Which they're running further and further away from, which I also think is part of the problem with the Democratic Party. But at the end of the day, you don't want people in here that did not go through the proper process. There's a process to make sure. There's got to be a vetting process. You got to make sure that you're bringing in people that you need. Listen, we all feel for people that are trying to seek asylum and to get away from horrible situations, and we feel for those people. But saying these things out loud, dude, you can't just open your borders up to millions and millions of people, no matter what their situation is, and expect your situation in your country, whether it's the US or Canada, to be in a better place economically, culturally, just in every conceivable way. You are going to ripple the foundation of what it was built on. Now, that doesn't mean that you cannot make concessions and you can't change as a country, and things that are outdated can be updated to a degree without completely ruining the fiber of what you stand for as a country. But the way that shit is going down, dude, in North America and other parts, I've been talking about this sort of stuff for a while, and it's not just North America. Like you just said earlier, it's in other places, and it is becoming a serious fucking problem. Serious problem. And listen, when the other side, when Kamala and Biden and these guys, and you've got a job and you make things worse, and you're asked questions like, what can you do better, or what would you do different, and your answer is nothing, I don't know. I mean, dude, you're losing people. And you're
that was a shitty situation for her there because she's still sitting vice president with the current president. And so
that is borderline gone. Just
gone. I understand.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, dude, I understand. I get it. But like, don't have a surprised Pikachu face when it's a landslide. It's not even close.
Well,
it's not even close. It's not close. You got fucking smoked.
I think this is a great example. This is tangential to the question at this point, but it's going to happen anyway. I talked about this on the stream. People were, there's a lot of people who are just like, how and why and whatever the fuck. If a lot of, and again, like Jeff and I both, neither of us would have voted Trump in that situation, but it doesn't change the fact that that it was almost inevitable that this was the direction it was going to go in for a ton of factors. There's a lot of things at play here. But to say that you don't understand it, or that people don't understand how it could happen, or they feel like something external. My problem with the Democrats, many, not all, but many of the Democrats that are in that camp of like, how could this possibly happen? Yada, yada, yada. Is that they're the same people, they're going to be the same reason why the Democratic Party will continue to struggle to get back into the presidency in 4 years from now. They're Hannah. They're completely delusional. They're in denial. They occasionally will almost get to a point where they say it out loud. But what they need to realize, I posted that, I had one post on Twitter about the election when it happened. Well, I had two, technically. One during the count, when I could see what was coming, and two after it was called in the morning. And it was the GIF from Childish Gambino. This is America. And even though that video wasn't about that specifically, it's about the line. I know everyone hears the fucking video when they see that GIF. What a lot of Democrats refuse to grapple with, there's two things. One, not everything can be externalized. You can't blame everything else on everything else all the time. At some point, you have to look at what did the Democratic Party do? What things did they do poorly? What can they do better in the future? And two, you have to understand that as much as you want to believe in, just like this happens in Canada too, American exceptionalism, Canadian exceptionalism, British exceptionalism, German exceptionalism, any of these Western countries that don't want to believe that there is an enormous group of people that do hold and continue to take on ideals that are, to a degree, in many degrees actually, running counter to the foundation of the country that you thought you knew, that you wanted to believe in, the American dream, all that shit. Here's a reality check. You just got swept. This wasn't a sweep because of interference. This wasn't because of fraud or anything like that. You got buried. You have to grapple with the fact that America, this is America, and that means you have to tackle your politics differently as a party. You can't always, the Democrats have been coasting on "we are not Republican" for like 20 years now. You can't perpetually run on a platform of "we are not Republican" and have that work, because if for only one reason, that the Democrats do not vote as a block the way that the Republicans do. So any amount of your voting base that will look and see cracks in your shit, it will hurt you orders of magnitude harder than anything, as you were witnessing, that the Republican side can do. They literally just put a convicted... This man had 34 counts of fraud, is a convicted, basically bordering on like sexual deviant. He has said the craziest shit that would be way too uncoming of, no matter how blue you like to be in your own humor. The man has said and done some crazy shit and is currently on probation. This man is on probation on hearing and just won the presidency of your country. So the Republicans,
what does that tell you?
The Republican, well, what it means is the Republicans don't care as a voting base. They do not care. The voters that often vote central left and left field have way more division lines that will stop them from voting either entirely. They will rarely cross to vote. Like, rarely does a far left person suddenly cross to go vote Republican. It happens, but it's rare. What typically happens is they get voter apathy and they just don't fucking show up. Like, the Democrats piss them off and then they say, fuck this shit. I'm out of here. I can't, like, because they won't bring themselves.
For Kamala, there's no way. Bro, that's a fucking meme show. The whole thing was a fucking meme show, dude. It's a fucking meme show. But hey, we're just a couple of Canadians. I'm Canadian. So at the end of the day, it's
going to affect
my
us,
opinion,
because we're Canadian.
Yes, of course. But I mean, at the same time, I don't have a dog. I don't have a dog in the fight because I'm not American. I didn't get to cast a vote. So, it is what it is. I couldn't stand Kamala. Couldn't even stand her voice. I just couldn't stand all of the shit. The whole thing is a fucking dumpster fire. But at the same time, what I do understand is why people voted for Trump. And I get it.
Yes, I understand. And that's
100% get it.
And the dangerous part is that I don't think Democratic leadership gets it. Or they do, but they refuse to admit it to themselves, and that will perpetually be why, until they grapple with that and accept it, they will never get back in. And I'm not talking because Trump's going to change the 22nd Amendment and all of a sudden it's going to be like fucking Obama coming out from the top rope and it's going to be Obama versus Trump for the fucking third, for their third presidency. They should have got Michelle
Obama in there. They should have never put Kamala in there. And if they would have got Michelle Obama in there, I think it would have been different, but they didn't. And
well, the country's also largely sexist and racist simultaneously, so I think they would have been in trouble either way.
I ain't gonna play that card. I don't believe for a second Kamala didn't get presidency because she's black or she's a woman. I don't think that at all. I think she had no policy. I don't think she talked to anybody. I think Trump had ideas, whether they were good, bad, or indifferent. He had ideas. She had nothing. She was a fucking drone out there. She was a mouthpiece for the fucking establishment, and she got wrecked. And it wasn't, and you know what? It's no fault of her own. It's the party's fault. It was a fucking joke.
Well, they gave her 100 days. They gave her 100 days to like pull off a miracle.
They put her in there. They just threw her in there, and you threw in a black woman on top of that after all this other nonsense talk.
It's not helping.
Fucking Christ. It's not helping. So what are you guys doing? You put Biden refuses to fucking step down. So what? They throw him out to the slaughters against Trump, and he's out there fucking half brain dead.
And you know that's just bad.
He's gonna lose.
Biden wasn't even with Kamala during the count, bro. There's a fallout in the Democratic Party. The whole thing is just on fire.
He refused to give, in my opinion, he refused to give up. And they said, okay, you know what? We're not going to pump you with all kinds of drugs and everything. We're going to throw you up there with Trump, and he's going to fucking murk you on stage. Right? And you're going to look like an absolute fool because you're walking around like a zombie, the leader of the free world. And they're going to go, oh, and then all the establishment, the whole fucking media machine, the propaganda machine, then turned on him simultaneously. Oh, I guess he ain't ready. Meanwhile, 2 days before, oh, he's sound as fuck. Oh, yeah, no, he's sharp as a tack, as they would say. Nah, bro. He's an 80-something-year-old fucking gone.
He's had brain surgeries and shit.
And
this man is.
And then you threw in Kamala without a primary. I mean, what you think was gonna happen? What you think was gonna happen, bro? And she's in charge of the fucking border. I mean, hey, they had nothing. It's over. I mean, hey, listen, it is what it is. Again, I'm just an ignorant Canadian. I don't know. I have no dog in the fight. I only can go by what I see, how I feel, and I think the Democratic Party deserves this beatdown. I think they're being foolish as shit, and hopefully they learn from it and they actually wake up. Because if they don't, well, hey,
4 years will be 8. It's going to be 8 years if they don't, and that's
the party failed Kamala, man, straight up.
Kamala's going to be the one to run again in 4 years. they'll put her back up there.
She'll lose horribly. She will lose
put her
horribly.
Up there. They'll do it.
Well,
who else they putting?
I don't know. We'll find out. That ain't gonna work. That ain't gonna work.
And we're about to go through the same thing here, but for slightly different reasons.
She needs to take her. You know where she gonna end up going? I heard Bill O'Reilly say this fucking what was it yesterday or something?
Jesus Christ, Bill O'Reilly.
Bill O'Reilly said, "Yo, Kamala will be on The View. That's where she's going."
Oh well! Oh my God! Dude. Like as an actual like host. Oh my God,
dude! The numbers that show would do. I mean, I think
the View is a fucking mess. I'm liberal. I'm liberal in that. I'm liberal in that, and that show is a fucking travesty.
Well, it is what it is, man. It is what it is.
And we're gonna have the same thing here, but for different reasons. Like up here, it's similar. Like I said, up here, I remember, I'm talking about voter apathy. Is the Liberal Party has completely separated itself from a large part of its own voting base.
Yep.
And so the win for the upcoming almost guaranteed, short of a miracle, and probably like the Bloc and the NDP managing to just say, we don't really want to have to live with a conservative majority. And we're like, outside of them combining with the Liberals, there is no hope. It's going to be like a majority conservative government. And I think you'll even see there's a decent chance that just like in the States where there were a lot of like typically liberal states that flipped conservative.
Oh yeah,
I think it'll be similar. I think it'll be similar here.
It's gonna be worse. I think it's gonna be worse here. I think it's gonna be an absolute landslide.
It's for no other reason.
Looking at Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, it's for looking at him. It's the Liberal Party, and the Liberal Party try. And in fairness to the Liberal Party, they tried to be like, all right, Justin, it's time for you to go away now. Like you can't run again. Like, no. We're gonna lose.
Like, no, I'm gonna stick. I'm gonna stick around because I'm a narcissistic fucking prick. They're gonna send him back to the high school to go fucking teach English class. Fucking dipshit.
So yeah, he'll be on for different. Like up here, people are like, well, how are you guys gonna vote in? We're doing it down here. You guys are gonna do the same thing. Like yeah, and the reasons are slightly different. Here, it's the Liberals had 10 years. 10 years, a long time, and for many voters anywhere, voter fatigue kicks in at some point. If you're not hitting home runs at year 10, you're going to just lose. It's kind of, people just get tired of the same shit. And the problem is, it's been 10 years, and the last 4 or 5 of those 10 have been, irrespective of the pandemic I'm talking about here, has been horrible for the Liberals and horrible for Trudeau as a leader. And there's just no climbing back from it. It's impossible. Poilievre, and again, like Poilievre is the Canadian version of Trump. But you have to understand.
Don't say that.
But you have no. But let me qualify. Let me qualify this. When you
can't even just say that. You can't just say that.
I'm not. No. Let me qualify it. When people from the States look up here, because that's what they call him. Okay, you can say that because he is. Seen as the representative of that.
Calls him that. The fucking leftist.
I don't personally. Let me say this. I don't personally believe that. Because why I'm going to qualify this is that's they're saying that even if that was the case, I don't believe it is. Even if that was the case, it would still go through for similar for the same reasons as it's going to go through in the U.S. Is that it is an almost entire front-to-back failure of the Liberal Party in Canada. And nobody else to blame. In the States, there was at least a break between. The Democrats got back in, they had 4 years, whatever. Up here, 10 years straight of the Liberals, front to back. There's too much of a track record to look at. And if it's not perfect after 10 years, the voting population is going to remove you. And it's not perfect. And now he's making himself look worse when his party is saying you need to step down. And is saying, no, I'm going to stay. And then he leaves the room and says, everything is fine. The party is strong. Everyone knows it's not the case. It creates a situation where it's going to happen. Like, and again, to say that you have to contextualize this, saying that Pierre, even if you believed it, saying that Pierre Poilievre was the Canadian Trump, to say that, you'd have to understand like how wildly different politically these two countries are. And like, even if you were to say like conservatives in Canada are not the same as conservatives in the States. And in Canada, the conservatives on the East Coast aren't even the same as the conservatives on the West Coast. We have our own division. The conservatives are called the Progressive Conservative Party on the East Coast and the Conservative Party on the West. Wildly different scenarios in the two countries, but because they represent politically the same side of the aisle, people will look at Poilievre and say that shit. And Poilievre's not perfect, and it drives me nuts that he talks like fucking goddamn Dr. Seuss, but when it happens, just like with Trump, I'm going to sit back and go, I understand why it happened. I get it. It's you know, it is what it is.
I want it to happen.
Like, how can you, like, I know, like, Miogs, for example, got really upset. Oh, we had this big conversation months ago. This was like 9 months ago now about Poilievre, because he was like, he's like, you guys can't let the same thing happen to theirs happening down south. You know, Trudeau's not that bad. And I said, you got to look into what's going on up here, bro. I don't think you understand. There's no hope that the Liberals stay in.
I think what it is I don't fully understand American politics, and maybe Americans don't fully understand Canadian politics.
That's a large part of it.
The thing is, I don't live there. Those people live it. You know what I mean? I only can sympathize or look at a situation and try and put myself in that position. And then here, the American way of life is very different than the Canadian way of life. It is very different ideals. We have some of the same ideals for sure, but it's just different, you know. So at the end of the day, you know, take what I say with a grain of salt on all things. I mean, this is just my opinion. And the thing is I don't actually get upset or mad with somebody if they think differently than me, because their life experience is different than mine. You know, people that are out there that are hardcore supporters of Trump, people are out there hardcore supporters of Kamala, people that are hardcore supporters of Pierre Trudeau. At the end of the day, it's how you're brought up. It's what works for you and your family. It's what your personal ideals are. I can disagree with them, but I'm not going to think any less of somebody for the way that they want to vote. I have to respect that. That's the democracy. That's how the country is ran, and rightfully so. And I just respect that. You know, I can have debates and things can get, you know, heated at times and whatnot. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to think any less of somebody because of where they cast their vote. But there are tons of people that do that. And to be fair and to be frank, and I believe that the left are the far left, which is becoming more and more, there is no redemption. It's like, if you even have if you even agree with anything from the other side, you are condemned. But yet from the right, they will accept you, and they will be like, you know what? Hey, you're coming to the light.
Obviously,
and it's a very different. But obviously, how so? But
because it adds to their voting ranks. So you know and they vote as a unit.
Would be on the other side, but you would think it would be the same thing on the other side. It's not.
No, it's definitely not. No, God, no.
You know, it's the pretentiousness of it. It's this. Yeah. It's hard to really put it into words, man. It's extreme. It's just extreme, crazy.
Well, the problem is that it creates even worse versions of whatever those very people are trying to speak up against. So even if they are right about something, so there is extreme right group activity happening all over the place. Nobody can deny that. That's 100% happening. When people are not precise when they're speaking definitively on something, in a group of people, when they paint broad and then they misuse words that hold huge power, some of which I literally cannot say on this platform. I think everyone knows which words we're talking about. When you call somebody that because they agree with some part of something that is viewed as part of this party, other thing.
The left is the label party.
When you do that, and the person on the other side's going, wait, hold up, what are you talking about? I'm not even remotely, just because like this portion over, I agree with this thing here, or I don't agree with what you're saying. Even this is even more important. I don't agree with what you're saying, not even agreeing with the other side on something, but just like, I don't agree with what you're saying. So more central political leanings, and then they put you in that group because you're not with them.
Yep.
Then you immediately create an environment where you will radicalize the people that were never radicalized to begin with, and then you will create the very problem that you have been trying to avoid because you were overly painting people with a broad brush. I've just ended up reading a bunch and watching a bunch about what is currently happening, coincidentally, in Germany right now, with immigration and whatnot that's been going on for the last 10 years there. It's coming to a bit of a head. And for the first time since you know when, one of the states or areas within Germany voted in the furthest right group that currently exists. I have to talk all around this for obvious reasons, but that's the first time that's ever happened in all that time. And it's largely to do with the fact that every time somebody speaks up about something like immigration, where they go, maybe we're opening the tap too fast. We can't do this. There's no assimilation into culture. We can't support them like financially.
Fuck you, you're
this
racist,
is hurting,
bro.
whatever. It's you're a racist piece of shit. And then they lump you in as a neo, insert whatever word you want at the end. And then those people that are just, they're not in that group, they just have that opinion where they're like, just hold on. And then enough people scream that at them, eventually, yes. Then they go, all right, fuck it.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, if this is what this is, this ain't me. This ain't me. And that's what's been happening. It's just all about race. It's all about women, men, gay, straight, fucking, I mean, it's the label party. Fuck you. If you don't think the way I think and you don't like my ideals, you're this phobe. You're that phobe. You're that racist. You're this. I'm putting you in this corner. Fuck you. Fuck you. And by the way, not everybody in that party is like that. In fact, I would argue that the majority are not. Yeah, but, I mean, it is just you just get tired of it, bro. You get tired of this fucking shit. It's like,
the minority like, of the group, and this is what happened in Canada. This is how I'll say this is what I believe happened here in Canada. Because when Trudeau first got in, Trudeau didn't get in on any of this kind of a platform. It was a totally different animal, completely. Yeah. In the same way that Quebec has twisted the Canadian government's arm to get all sorts of shit as a minority group amongst the rest of the country for years, it is a great example of the squeaky wheel gets the oil. A small, more extreme end group with loud voices and with the magnification power of stuff like social media managed to convince people sitting in government that there are more people being represented there than there actually are, and there has been culture and policy change creep in those last 10 years here in Canada that has bowed further and further down to that small group of people that are on that hyper extreme end and aren't particularly reasonable about many of these things. And once that happens, now there is this illusion at a political national level that these things are all happening, but the average person is not seeing any of that. They get confused. Confusion leads to anger. Everyone's now getting divided in 1,000 different fucking places. There's infighting at, like, it used to just be economic strata. Now it's like, we see it in the States, the male versus female vote for the first time was like really calculable as a differentiating factor in the vote. We're hitting this insane divisive level, and it's, in my opinion, largely because a small extreme group of people that were really good at screaming and weaponizing social media and other similar platforms managed to convince a not insignificant number of people in politics,
but it's the media too. That's the problem. It's the media. It's this garbage. It's just fucking garbage. You got all these companies it's the whole thing's a fucking joke, bro. It's and you know what? They're eating their bad decisions now. It is what it is. I mean, they set themselves up for this.
It pisses me off because it's such a pain in the ass because I am left of center, and even though it's not necessarily the case, it feels like that group on the left is growing to be a bigger and bigger portion. I know it's not, but it just keeps feeling like it's just this bigger and bigger, like illogical, living in a different universe, which is true on the right, by the way, as well. There's a group on the far end of both sides that are literally living in a different reality, and it feels like we've managed to like somehow silo people so accurately on social media that they believe that they're literally living in a different universe. It's nuts. To listen to them talk to one another is hilarious. It's like they're speaking different languages. But it's a complete fucking mess. But
I just think what people cared about ultimately is I think people cared about policy. I think people cared about what are we doing about immigration? What are we doing about this economy? We're hurting here. The current party that's in charge right now is not doing what they should be doing. Yeah. Yes, inflation has come down some. Yes, I understand. Interest rates are coming down some. Yes, I understand. Jobs are starting
that was going to happen more or less regardless
because look at the dumpster fire you came out of in the first place. And not only that, you can tell us all day that things are getting better. But when people go to the grocery store or they pump their gas or they're trying to get diapers or whatever, this everyday stuff, it doesn't feel like it. There's nothing there. This is a fucking mess. And when you tell people that you don't have a plan to fix this, and the other side is telling you they do, they just want change. Especially when he was in office before, the economy was better and people were in a better financial state. Whatever, people can spin it however they want to spin it.
When it comes to politics, it doesn't matter whether they did it or not. They can just point at it and say,
correct. Look at this.
That's the case. And for the average voter, that's all they need to know.
That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
So how are you expecting? You don't have to agree with whatever. You have to go out there and vote. You did, and this is what happened. There's a lot of people that were on the left that voted towards the right. Not necessarily because they're probably Republican now and they feel like, oh, fuck this. Some of them may be. But it's probably because they just want to change. They want to feel like there's hope again, that there's something on the horizon. Because whatever the hell this was, it wasn't it. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah. I will say this. What I am getting tired about in politics is regardless of which side it comes from, they spend all of their time just shitting on the other side.
Yes.
And not just going up and telling me why they're going to be better.
Thank you.
I don't care. I don't need you to tell me why Donald Trump is shit.
Is horrible.
I am 100%
we already know that, right?
aware.
We already
You're
know
not going to anyone who has already he was already the president. There is nobody who doesn't already know Donald Trump who is going to suddenly change their mind about him as a person because you said he's a bad person. That's not going to help you. Stop focusing on just we're not them, which is what also happens here, and just tell me how you're going to do better. How are you going to do better? That's all that fucking matters. Unfortunately, even when you do that, like you were mentioning, and I said this to my stream, I said, if you really want, people are going to come up with a bunch of reasons. The majority of this isn't even the border. It's just the economy. And not even the economy, it's the economy for the average person. The economy itself is actually at an all-time high. The fucking rich people right now are literally just swimming.
They're fine.
In money. They're fine. The stock market has never been stronger. The economy is, we are not even in a recession, but for the average person, it feels like a recession because on their end of the scale, it's totally fucked. And so all they do is they look
Nvidia
back.
Stock.
No.
They ain't got Nvidia stock, bro.
No.
They can barely fucking pay the groceries, man.
Like, game over. Even if they come up and be like, man, we've got the best, like Trudeau, a GDP, all blah, blah. Nobody cares.
Shut the
Nobody cares.
Up. Yeah.
Everyone cares when they look at their grocery bill and they've got 7 items in their cart and it costs $170. That's what they care about. not the fact that you managed to find a way to get the numbers at a GDP level to look like the country's not literally fucking imploding on itself. That's it. And the same thing happens in many other places, but that's what drives me nuts, is they spend all this time just saying, we're not the other guys.
Yeah.
And catastrophizing, I'll end on this because I could talk about this all day. Catastrophizing needs to stop. It has to stop. Because even if...
I mean, the world's going to end now, Adam. It's over now. You know what I mean?
Even if that's the case, even if it was the case, they've used that card so many times that it doesn't mean anything anymore. It's the boy who cried wolf. It's the oldest fucking childhood parable ever crafted. You can't keep crying wolf and the wolf not showing up and then expect people to believe you when you cry wolf. And in this instance, with Trump coming in now, who, if you listen to him leading up to this presidency, is far worse, sounds far worse than he was the first time he came in. And he has experience in the office now, so he can do things even faster. So even if there were some things to catastrophize about for your voting base, you've already burned that card. Yeah, you're going to have people crying and screaming in their cars on social media or whatever other the fucking memes that are like
shit, man.
Going around because people are fucking weird up in their feelings.
Let me set up my phone here.
Well, crying on social media is a weird thing every time. It's just a weird idea.
Issue. It's a mental health issue.
The fact that you can press, like, open your phone, press record, do that, edit it, post it, like, come on.
Like, sit it on there and just, like, cry and scream and yell. Weird. You're fucking weird. You need help.
You need some therapy.
You need fucking help, dude. I'm sorry.
But you can't catastrophize. And, like, most of the Democrats' platform this cycle was catastrophizing. It's democracy was at stake. Kamala gave her speech, and for as good of a speech as it was written, it didn't mention the economy once.
Of course not, because she didn't have a plan. She's just a mouthpiece.
Nothing.
That's the problem.
She went up there, and it was a well-written speech. Whoever wrote that speech fucking crushed it, but it didn't touch on anything. And what made it look even worse is she didn't even show up when it was clearly over, and all of the people that had traveled to see her get told that she's not there. Biden ain't there. Kamala ain't there. Dude, this was a fucking shit show. She didn't even have the respect to go out and wave at these people and say, listen, I know you guys came to see the speech tonight. To be completely honest, we're obviously like you. We're feeling very defeated right now, but we have some things to say. But it will be better if we collect everything in our thoughts and say this tomorrow in another several hours when we had time to sleep on it, etc.
Yeah, they had some random Joe Blow come out here and be like, yeah, guys, she ain't coming. She'll say something tomorrow. And you could just feel everyone like, what?
Like,
what the fuck? We've been out here, man. You told us to stand in lines for fucking 15 goddamn hours. You kept texting us to send $5 more. We gave you $1 billion. The least you could do is come out here and say what the fuck is up. But no. It's just the whole thing's a joke.
I will say this. The only upside to this in any way, shape, or form, with the exclusion of all of the, just like if we have a majority government sitting up here, they have everything now. Yep. Literally everything.
Yep.
The Republican Party basically, like Trump went to the Republican Party and said, let me do this. I'm going to change your party, but we're going to go in. And they agreed to that. And now he's in. And now they've got all this crazy shit that they're going to probably try to pull off.
I mean, bro, it's impressive.
But they have everything. So, what the craziest thing is that everything that goes wrong in this next 4 years, because things will go wrong. It will happen. It happens every time regardless.
It'll be on them. It'll be on them.
Yeah. But a lot of people won't admit it. They will still, and the Republicans will not say anything. They will still point at the Democrats. They just flipped, historically, the entire country.
Everything. They got it all.
Popular vote, electoral college, the whole fucking 9 yards, everything. They had all the media against them. Nothing. Everything was literally jumping down their throat, and they flipped everything.
Assassination attempts.
Everything.
Dude, this is crazy.
Everything.
What an absolute. This will be. This is.
And so
this is crazy. It's
I will lose
insane.
faith in humanity. I understand why he's in now. I get it. If in 4 years they have blown this whole joint up, like they fucked the pooch, and their voting base looks at it and go, yeah, the fucking Democrats fucked it up for us again. Now I've given up on humanity because they have everything. They are the majority nationally, popular vote and otherwise. They are the show, the Catalina wine mixer. It's the fucking Super Bowl. They've got everything. So if they fuck it and they still go, if the voting base for the Republicans still go, fuck the Democrats, they fuck this shit up. I'm gonna be like, God damn.
Be like, hey, this is what we came into this.
Bitch. It's the same in Canada. It's the liberals. Like, oh, the conservatives fucked us up. You've been there for 10 years. What are you talking about? You've had a decade. Stop with the cap.
Yeah. I mean,
we have other questions, man. But we have to go do StarCraft. I wish we could continue.
We gotta go do StarCraft. We gotta go do
send
StarCraft.
your questions
Listen, it's wild times out there, guys. Try and treat each other with respect. Listen,
please.
Man, you're gonna have people that are gonna fucking, they're gonna disagree with you. You're gonna disagree with what I said or what Adam said or whatever. Everybody's got their own opinions. It's all good.
Fine.
But just try and respect each other. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's got their own POV and things like that. It is what it is, man. The world is not going to come to an end. It will be okay, I hope. And we will continue to move forward. I mean, that's just the way it is. Here in Canada, in the US, everywhere. There's going to be tough times. There's going to be tough times ahead. And who knows? This might actually be good. Who knows? Seriously. I don't know.
That's what I said on my stream. I said, even though I'm clearly preparing for the worst here,
it could end up being good.
Anyone that says that they know exactly what's going to happen in any presidency or any prime minister run at any time is just like the stock market. I'll bring it back home with this. It's all fucking speculation. It's all speculation. You're basing some of it on reality, but sometimes it's 100% speculation. And that's all it is right now. Because people thought the world was going to end with his first presidency, and while there was some fucked up shit that I don't doubt will be also fucked up now, we still be here doing a fucking podcast, and Jeff's clenching his asshole to stop the water from leaving it. It's just the way that life goes.
I'll tell you that.
It's another day on the block, and we're going to go record some StarCraft and entertain your asses. And so send those questions in that you sent in this week. I figured we'd probably get something like this that would take up most of our time. We'll go back to normal next week, I promise. And until then, thank you so much for hanging out. We'll see you soon. Stay safe out there. And peace.
Peace.